Chapter 2548. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The other party was looking down on him. He could not tolerate it. He was the saint. He was usually high and mighty. When had he ever been looked down on like this? 1 against 1, €7%, damn it. I will definitely kill you. I'll let you know how much harm Miley gave I #8 you gave V ________________. The other party acknowledged the yin-yang sect's strength, but not his. He had gone completely mad. The power of yin and yang in his body exploded rapidly. The yin-yang blade became even more terrifying. The power of life and death tore the void apart, forming a heaven and a hell that floated in the sky. In heaven, Yu City wanted to tell everyone. They were extremely white and had wings on their backs. Their bodies shone brightly, and they had the most serene smiles on their faces. Their eyes were pure. Behind them were countless palaces, surrounded by all kinds of rare beasts. It was like a paradise on earth. This was the best paradise in the world. The space below was constantly tumbling. It was pitch black and filled with the power of death, forming 18 levels of hell. Every floor was surrounded by extremely terrifying evil spirits, and there were no vengeful spirits. One look at it would make one's scalp tingle and one's body tremble. It was impossible to resist. The power of yin and yang completely enveloped Lin Xian, trying to tear him in half. Lin Xian felt the impact. He snorted, and his flaming blade burst into flames. Endless flames surrounded him, resisting the terrifying power. However, this power was too strange. Even though the flaming Taoist robe was a medium-grade heaven-class artifact, it could not completely resist the power of yin and yang. Kid, stop struggling. You can't resist the power of yin and yang. The yin-yang saint stood in the sky and looked down. At this moment, he was like the god of time. His cold and emotionless eyes stared at Lin Xian. Can't resist? You think too highly of yourself. Lin Xian sneered. If it was the sect leader of the yin-yang sect, I might not be able to resist. But you are not qualified. Today, I will destroy your heaven and 18 levels of hell. Lin Xian roared. Sword light exploded from his body and slashed in all directions. Dream on. You underestimate the power of yin and yang. Today, you will definitely die. The yin-yang saint revealed a look of disdain. He did not think that Yi Futian could escape from his ultimate move. He had already used this god to kill many powerful kings. Among them were many elders and peerless geniuses. Although the other party was strong, in the face of his sure kill ability, he still couldn't resist. Humph! Lin Xian didn't say anything. With a cold snort, the great dragon sword soul in his body erupted. The sharp sword light on his body grew brighter and brighter, as if it was going to break through the clouds. With a roar, a dragon-shaped sword shadow soared into the sky, transforming into a huge dragon bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws as it charged towards heaven in the sky. Roar! The cries of dragons and swords reverberated in all directions, tearing the void apart. Many of the weaker martial artists in the surroundings were smashed into pieces, causing them to lie flat on the ground. Even the other inceptive sages, experts, and elders who were engaged in battle also turned their heads to look at Zhang Xian in horror. Heavens! This brat's sword skill was really too terrifying. They were incomparably shocked, but at the same time they rejoiced. That was because they weren't the ones fighting the other party. The peerless geniuses were dumbfounded upon hearing the thought. They had never had such fearful thoughts about anyone before, but now they actually felt fear towards a young man. Boom! Boom! Intense collisions sounded in front of them. The huge dragon shadow charged towards heaven. Its huge body collided with the angels and celestial palaces, instantly erupting with intense light. The terrifying power shattered everything in all directions. Those angels and celestial palaces quickly shattered. Damn it! Kill him for me! The yin-yang saint roared. Those shattered angels and celestial palaces reformed once again. They were the same, emitting resplendent light like the sun. The dragon-shaped sword Shadow wanted to completely destroy them. An intense battle broke out. The two forces clashed in the sky. The terrifying impact of the energy made everyone feel despair. But in the end, the celestial palaces and countless angels turned into endless spirit chi with a loud boom. They dissipated in all directions, never to appear again. Puff! The yin-yang saint took a step back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face instantly turned pale. Damn it! How could it be? Damn it, he actually broke my yang power. He was simply too shocked. But what made him even more terrified was yet to come. That was because another beam of sword will shot out from Lin Xian's body. This time, it was a huge sword with ancient patterns circling around it. It released a terrifying sword intent. This sword seemed to fly out of time and space from ancient times. It directly slashed towards the 18 levels of hell below. The 18 levels of hell were extremely dark. It was the power of death. It was extremely evil. It could take away anyone's life. Now that it felt threatened, the 18 levels of hell shone brightly. Countless vengeful spirits and evil spirits rushed out. They rushed into the sky, emitting a sinister aura that made everyone tremble. Countless vengeful spirits and evil spirits rushed into the sky, wanting to destroy the heavenly sword. But in an instant they screamed in agony. It was as if their bodies were made of ice that had encountered a raging fire. They emitted sounds time and time again, and even emitted white smoke. Destroy! Damn it, go to hell! The yin-yang saint roared. 18 extremely strange, demonic faces appeared in the 18 levels of hell. They opened their bloody mouths and frantically devoured the power of the heavenly sword. Oh no! Retreat! Everyone in the surroundings went crazy and screamed. They felt the life force in their bodies rapidly draining away. Many of them even began to age, and their hair turned white. This made them extremely terrified. The saints stopped attacking. They protected the disciples of their sacred grounds to prevent their lives from being taken by this death force. Humph! Yi Wudao snorted coldly. His golden chi surged into the sky. He waved his golden fist and shattered the death force. Amitabha, Wu Hua formed a Buddhist seal. Countless rays of Buddhist light appeared on his body. They flickered in the sky and blocked the death force. Humph! Xin Jingqiu and Murong Qingxing also used their ultimate techniques to block the death force. The crimson dragon roared. Its dragon blood surged. The Alcade saint flashed with 108 god fiends. The great Xia prince's sword slashed across the sky. Every expert was using their ultimate techniques to defend themselves, but no one was relaxed and no one was happy, because they knew that this was just the aftermath of the death force. Just the aftermath emitted such terrifying power and energy. They had to be careful. They had to admit that the yin-yang saint's strength was too terrifying. It seemed that they had underestimated the yin-yang saint. The yin-yang saint revealed a ferocious expression. Damn brat, now you know my yin-yang power. You have no chance to regret it. Go to hell for me. His expression was ferocious. The yin-yang sect martial artists behind him also exclaimed in excitement. That's great. As expected of a saint. He's really powerful. That's for sure. When has the yin-yang sect's yin-yang power ever been defeated? No one can resist it. No matter how arrogant this brat was, he would eventually fall into the 18 levels of hell. He would be completely suppressed and never be able to rise again. Chapter 2549. The disciples of the yin-yang sect were too excited. Lin Xian's power had made them despair. Now that their holy son was able to suppress such a powerful enemy, this was definitely something that they were very excited about. The people of the Tai dynasty, 5 Elements Palace, 9 Heavens Sacred Ground, and 10,000 Thunders Sacred Ground were also excited. Even if they couldn't kill him, They would be thrilled to see him fall into the 18 levels of hell with their own eyes. They knew that the 18 levels of hell were extremely terrifying. Once they entered, they wouldn't be able to die just because they wanted to. They would be subjected to the cruelest punishment in the world. They would definitely experience what it meant to live a life worse than death. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu were worried again. They couldn't help but want to help. Lin Xian also felt a great danger. He felt that the life in his body was being taken away. His lifespan was being drained. This phenomenon was very similar to the Bat King's blood deprivation. However, it was far more terrifying than the blood deprivation. It was because he was taking away his life, his lifespan. If his blood was drained, he could still regenerate it. However, if his lifespan was drained, he wouldn't be able to replenish it. Therefore, he didn't dare to be careless. With a cold shout, the great dragon sword soul in his body exploded. The dragon-shaped sword shadow destroyed the surrounding death energy. Instantly, he felt that his life was no longer draining away. This made him heave a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the great dragon sword soul could also destroy the death energy. What's going on? What happened? The Yin-Yang saint was stunned. As the one who attacked, he was the most shocked. Previously, he saw Lin Xian's face turn pale and his lips curl into a hideous smile. He knew that Lin Xian couldn't resist his death energy. However, in just an instant, Lin Xian stopped. His face was no longer pale. It seemed that his life wasn't draining away. But how was this possible? Could it be that the death energy had lost its effect? What a joke! His death energy could definitely take away everything. It was even more terrifying than the Bat King's. Didn't he see that the saints and saintesses were all hiding far away? He had to be careful. One could imagine how terrifying it was to be enveloped by the death energy. Damn it, what's going on? Could it be that this kid used some secret technique? The Yin-Yang saint's face darkened. He knew that it was unrealistic to kill the other party like this. After all, as Immortal Palace's lord, the other party definitely had many trump cards. But so what? He did not believe his opponent's land card could resist his force of death. Thinking of this, a ferocious look appeared in his eyes. He once again unleashed a powerful force and poured it into the 18 levels of hell. He even took out 2 secret pills from his storage ring and swallowed them, causing the spiritual energy in his body to erupt like a vast ocean. Roar, roar, roar. As expected, after swallowing the Buddha's secret pill, the 18 levels of hell became even more eerie and sinister. The 18 faces of the devils were extremely ferocious as the power of death exploded out. This caused Lin Xian to be in danger once again. Absorbing energy? I'll let you absorb as much as you want. Lin Xian snorted coldly. A dragon-shaped sword shadow rushed out from his body and rushed downwards. It's useless. Stop struggling. Nothing can resist the power of death. The Yin-Yang saint sneered disdainfully. Lin Xian did not answer him. This time, he did not slash the power of death at all. Instead, he continued to unleash it. The great dragon sword soul exploded, and waves of terrifying energy swept across the land. It was like a vast ocean, crashing down in all directions. The surrounding space collapsed rapidly, and black holes appeared one after another. No one could see clearly what was happening inside. In the 18 levels of hell below, the 18 faces of the devils revealed greedy expressions. They had never encountered such a powerful force of life before. Such a powerful force. They devoured crazily, like beggars who had been starving for a long time and once again found delicious food. Indeed, to them, the great dragon sword soul was delicious food that could make up for their greed. But after absorbing for a while, the 18 ghost faces widened their eyes in shock. Damn it. Stop. Enough. They were already full. They could not take it anymore. Although their Yin power could devour everything, there was a limit to it. After all, they were summoned by the Yin-Yang saint, not the Yin-Yang sect leader. No matter how strong the Yin-Yang saint was, he was only a prodigy of the younger generation. Therefore, the power they could devour was also very limited. But now, they had already devoured enough life and power. But the life and power above them continued to surge in. They could not devour it at all. But as the Yin-Yang Saint had the death attribute, they could not stop it. Moreover, the Yin-Yang Saint had also gone crazy and used his power recklessly. Therefore, the 18 faces expanded more and more. The entire 18 levels of hell also swelled up as if they had become balloons. Whoosh! Whoosh! Boom! Finally, when it reached its limit, there was a loud boom, and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The 18 layers of hell exploded and shattered into pieces. The evil demon faces inside were instantly annihilated. Boom! 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 This force was too terrifying. After all, the 18 levels of hell were formed by the power of death. They were extremely powerful. Moreover, they had also absorbed the endless power of the great dragon's sword soul. Therefore, this explosion was extremely terrifying. A huge crack appeared in the sky and spread in all directions. Heaven and earth shook. Everyone was pushed back. The weaker ones vomited blood and fainted. The more powerful ones also activated their king's domains to defend themselves. The entire hall shook. Heaven and earth shook as if they were about to be destroyed. Damn it! What happened? Could it be that the brat fought back? Impossible. That brat could not destroy the 18 levels of hell at all. Could it be that he was devoured and refined? Screams rang out. However, the Yin-Yang Saint vomited blood and flew back. This time he suffered a serious backlash. 3 cracks appeared on his body, almost tearing his body into pieces. His face became incomparably pale without a trace of blood. Even his eyes were dim and lifeless. He had no choice. His ultimate superpower had been destroyed. Naturally, he was severely injured. The saint, seeing this, the Yin-Yang sect member screamed. They flew out crazily and caught the Yin-Yang Saint. They consumed all kinds of heavenly treasures without any regard for their lives. What happened? What happened? Why was the saint injured? Oh my God! Could it be that the brat fought back? Damn it! Did that brat use the power of a saint? Impossible! Screams and cries rang out one after another. They really couldn't understand what was going on. The Tai dynasty, the middle ground twin kings, the 5 Elements Palace, and the 10,000 Thunder sacred ground were all stunned. They were also very surprised. Instantly, their faces became extremely ferocious. They approached the Yin-Yang Saint and quickly asked, "Brother Yin-Yang, what happened? Could it be that you failed? That brat is already so powerful." Screams of surprise rang out. The Yin-Yang Saint gritted his teeth. His black hair fluttered. Like a devil, he screamed crazily. Chapter 2550. Impossible. I don't believe it. How could he have broken through my ultimate divine power? The Yin-Yang Saint went crazy. He saw heaven being destroyed with his own eyes. But why was hell also destroyed? How did he do it? He didn't know because the black hole had completely isolated everything. He didn't see it at all, nor did his soul capture it. He wasn't the only one. The others were the same. Humph! Is your ultimate divine power that powerful? You want to kill me? You're overestimating yourself. A cold voice was heard. It was like a sharp sword that cut through the void. The sky full of light was mercilessly torn apart, and then a figure walked out. He was surrounded by sword halos, and a dragon's shadow appeared under his feet. It was like a peerless immortal light that made people tremble. Damn it, it's that guy. He's not injured at all. How is that possible? Everyone went crazy because they realized that the aura on their bodies didn't weaken. Instead, it became even more violent than before. They didn't know that after the 18 levels of hell exploded, the power of the divine power was greatly boosted. The absorbed power of the great dragon sword soul was completely released. Not only that, but the power was even purer after being refined by the 18 levels of hell. Therefore, the power of the great dragon sword soul increased. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He didn't expect that a battle could increase the power of the great dragon sword soul. This was really an unexpected surprise. So when he came out, he looked at the Yin Yang saint and smiled. To be honest, I really have to thank you. If it weren't for you, my strength wouldn't have increased again. So don't worry, I'll give you a quick death later. Hearing this, the Yin Yang sect martial artists trembled. Their faces were full of fear. The Yin Yang saint was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. Damn you, I'm going to kill you. I'll definitely kill you. He was really angry. The next moment, he waved his hand, and an ancient drum appeared in his hand. The drum was white on one side and black on the other. It was very strange. This was a secret treasure of his called the Yin Yang drum. Once the drum sounded, it could instantly kill a strong enemy. Go to hell, brat. The Yin Yang saint roared. He waved his hand and was about to use the Yin Yang drum. However, he didn't have the chance. A piercingly cold sword light flew out and instantly chopped off his arm. The Yin Yang saint had just grabbed the Yin Yang drum when his arm broke. Blood splattered everywhere, dyeing the Yin Yang drum and the void red. Ah! The Yin Yang saint screamed and flew backward. He covered his wound and kept rolling in the air. The others sucked in a breath of cold air as their scalps went numb. Crack! Yin and Yang Qi flowed around the Yin Yang saint's body. Instantly his severed arm grew back. He kept gasping for breath, and his face was ferocious. He wanted to attack again. However, he discovered that the Yin Yang Valley was enveloped by countless sword lights. For a moment, it was hard for him to break free. As for him, he was once again sent flying by a sword light. Ah! The Yin Yang saint still wanted to use his trump card, but Lin Xian did not give him the chance. Sword after sword, he swung out in succession. For a time, countless sword lights crisscrossed, forming a sea of swords that enveloped the area. The Yin Yang saint was forced to retreat continuously. He had no chance to attack again. The armor on his body shattered, and the Yin and Yang energies grew dim. His body split apart, and an arm was hacked off. Not only that, but the next sword strike was even more devastating, directly splitting him in half. Half of his body was completely shattered by the sword light. Buzz! The other half of the Yin Yang saint's body rushed out. Countless rays of light formed a Yin Yang shield that enveloped him and brought him back. Stay here. 5 elements sword. 5 elements as one. Lin Xian swung his ancient sword, and the 5 elements sword danced in the sky. They quickly combined to form an even sharper divine sword shadow that directly shattered the Yin Yang escape. It even cut the remaining half of the Yin Yang saint's body in half again. Boom! Blood, mist exploded. It was a tragic sight. A saint! The Yin Yang sect members screamed. They looked at this scene with despair. Could it be that their holy son had also been killed? The others were also extremely shocked. Those peerless prodigies and powerful cultivators were extremely terrified. Could it be that another saint had died? Boom! Whoosh! Just as everyone was shocked, a figure appeared in the void in the distance. It was the Yin Yang saint. At this moment, his face was as pale as paper without a trace of blood. He looked extremely weak. Boom! With an earth-shattering sound, the Yin Yang drum shattered the sword light that filled the sky. It arrived around the Yin Yang saint and completely enveloped him. He was not killed, the surrounding people exclaimed. However, the Yin Yang sect martial artists cried out crazily. They were too excited. Their holy son had not been killed, which made them completely relieved. Lin Xian frowned. That was because he was very surprised by this scene. The other party was actually able to survive after such a fierce attack. It was really surprising. Yin Yang talisman of life and death. Yi Wu Dao said solemnly. Hearing this, many martial artists were puzzled. However, the eyelids of the powerful saints twitched violently. Yin Yang talisman of life and death. Damn it, it's actually that thing. They did not expect the Yin-Yang sect to be so cautious this time. Yes, the Yin-Yang saint was really lucky. He actually obtained the Yin-Yang talisman of life and death. It seemed that his life was saved this time. What was the Yin-Yang talisman of life and death? Lin Xian frowned. It seemed to be a very scary thing. Otherwise, Yu Wudao and the other saints would not be so shocked. Behind them, Xing Tian quickly transmitted his voice. Young master, the Yin-Yang life and death talisman is a very scary talisman. It could have been refined by a supreme king or even a saint. It is an exceptional mystique of the Yin-Yang sect. It was not an offensive mystique, but a life-saving one. After being refined, it was placed in the Yin-Yang saint's body. At a critical moment, it could replace the original body in death. This was equivalent to having another chance to live. Previously, the Yin-Yang saint had been able to escape the sword light that filled the sky. It seemed that he had activated the Yin-Yang life and death talisman. There was such a magical thing. After hearing this, Lin Xian was very envious. To be able to replace one death. This was an extremely precious item. After all, using this item was equivalent to having a second life. One more life than others. It had to be said that the Yin-Yang saint was really lucky to have such an item on him. Damn brat, I will not let you off. The Yin-Yang saint was trembling with anger. He did not expect the other party to make him use a Yin-Yang life and death talisman. This was indeed planted in his body by the Yin-Yang sect leader. It was equivalent to having a second life. However, he could not use it on his own. It could only take effect automatically when he was threatened with death. That was why he was still alive. However, this item was extremely rare and was a treasure of heaven and earth. He did not want to waste it like this. He had originally thought that he would use the Yin-Yang life and death talisman to save his life when he encountered extreme danger in the ancient tomb. But now he had used it in advance. Moreover, he had fallen at the hands of a young martial artist like him. The Yin-Yang life and death talisman was indeed a good item. Do you have any more on you? Lin Xian sneered and stared coldly at the Yin-Yang saint. Chapter 2551. Being stared at, the Yin-Yang saint shuddered and almost peed his pants. He did not expect that Lin Fan would dare to attack him. The members of the Yin-Yang sect also surrounded the Yin-Yang saint tightly. They were extremely nervous, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. If not for the Yin-Yang life and death talisman, their saint would have been killed. And now, Lin Xian still wanted to attack. How could they not be nervous? The Yin-Yang saint's face darkened. He gritted his teeth and said, "Brat, just you wait. I will not let you off." As soon as he finished speaking, he led the Yin-Yang sect members away without looking back. He even used a secret technique to transform into Yin-Yang Qi, shattering the void and disappearing. The 5 elements palace, 9 heavens sacred ground, 10,000 thunders sacred ground, Tai dynasty and Tuoba family were all stunned. The others were also stunned. Their scalps went numb. The Yin-Yang saint had actually escaped. The Yin-Yang sect had been defeated. No one could believe it. The Yin-Yang sect was a powerful sect in Zhongzhou. They were extremely powerful. Together with their Yin-Yang Qi, they were extremely terrifying. The Yin-Yang saint was one of the top prodigies of the younger generation. But this terrifying young prodigy had fled. He fled like a stray dog. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. Humph! What a piece of trash! He could not even take a beating. How could he escape so quickly? Lin Xian did not chase after him. He looked at the shattered void in disdain. The other party was no longer a threat to him, so he ignored him. Instead, he turned around and stared at the remaining people. How dare you join forces to assassinate me? Li Yundong thought. Kneel down and accept your death obediently. Lin Xian shouted coldly. His voice was like thunder exploding in the sky. The martial artists from the Tai dynasty, 5 elements palace, and 10,000 Thunder's sacred ground who had gone against Lin Xian trembled and almost fell from the sky. Their prodigy elders, on the other hand, looked gloomy. "Brat, you are too arrogant." Just then, a ferocious voice rang out. "Don't think that you can show off in front of me just because you defeated the Yin Yang Saint. To be honest, you're still far from it. Now, hand over the ancient Taoist robe obediently, and give me all the resources you've collected. I can only cripple your cultivation and spare your life. Otherwise, if you dare to resist, I'll make sure you lose your life." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked and their scalps went numb. Heavens, who is it? How dare he be so arrogant? Didn't he see that even the Yin Yang Saint had been struck by the other party? He had almost lost his life here. Now, there's actually someone who dared to provoke Lin Xian. It had to be said that he was truly audacious. However, when they looked up at the figure in the sky, they cried out in surprise. The twin kings of the Central State. What? It's him. Was he going to make a move? Everyone was extremely shocked. The Central State twin kings were extremely terrifying existences. He was probably even more powerful than the Yin Yang Saint. Moreover, it was a two-headed monster. Although it did not possess the power of Yin and Yang, it possessed the power of light and darkness. When the two completely opposite forces merged together, it would definitely be an extremely terrifying killing move. That's great. If the twin kings of the Central State were to make a move, that kid would definitely die. That might not be the case. Don't forget that they had fought before. But that time, the twin kings of the Central State had failed. In fact, they were so close to killing each other. Therefore, I think that kid is more powerful. Impossible. Although that kid was powerful, it was absolutely impossible for him to kill the twin kings of the Central State. Last time, he had relied on his soul power to launch a surprise attack and cause the twin kings to suffer. Now, with the previous experience, the twin kings of the Central State would definitely guard their soul power firmly. Without the soul power attack, that kid would definitely not be a match for the twin kings of the Central State. Indeed, I think so too. Discussions broke out. In this battle, they were certain that the twin kings of the Central State would win. This was because their reputation in the Central State was too strong. Even people like Yi Wu Dao and the great Xia Prince did not think that they could win. Not to mention Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes as a disdainful smile appeared on his face. "I was wondering who it was. So it was you, the two-headed monster. What? Was the lesson I taught you last time not enough? You still dare to provoke me? Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? If you know what's good for you, then get lost and disappear from my sight. Otherwise, I will kill you." At the end of his words, a biting cold killing intent rang out between heaven and earth. It was like a peerless sword light that swept across the world. How terrifying! This Lin Xian was too arrogant. He dared to provoke the twin kings of the Central State. Just wait, he will lose without a doubt. Discussions broke out. However, the Crimson Dragon and the others sneered. "Two-headed monster, die for me. You are not a match for Brother Lin Xian. Brother Xian, defeat him. Ah, you can go to hell for me." The twin kings of the Central State went crazy. Their power suddenly erupted. Last time, he had indeed suffered a loss at the hands of the other party. Therefore, this time he must return the favor. He wanted to kill the other party in front of everyone to prove his strength. Boom! "I represent the gods to punish you." The virtuous one had a merciful expression. Golden light surged from his body, making him look like a Buddha. On the other side, the evil one's black hair danced wildly. Demonic chi surged from his body, making him look like a peerless demon king. Two terrifying auras burst out, sweeping across the world and shattering the surrounding void. Those who were watching the battle frantically retreated to distance themselves. It was too terrifying. It was much more powerful than the Yin Yang Saint's power. It was undeniable that it made people tremble. At this moment, Yi Wu Dao Wu Hua, the Alcade Saint, and the others had grave expressions. Murong Qingqing and Xinjingqiu were also worried. Although they had mocked him before, they were still worried for Lin Xian when they felt the power. "Brother Lin Xian, are you all right?" Xin Jingqiu's face was filled with worry. However, the Crimson Dragon laughed. "Don't worry, that kid won't lose so easily." As expected, Lin Xian roared. Sword chi erupted from his body. Sword waves spread out in all directions with him as the center. It collided with the golden light that filled the sky and the terrifying demonic chi. The three forces collided in the air, tearing the void apart. Hundreds of large cracks appeared. Each of them was like a huge canyon. They filled the sky and looked extremely ferocious. The surrounding martial artists were horrified. Just the collision of their auras had caused such a terrifying scene. They wondered what would happen when the two of them fought. It would probably be an earth-shattering battle. Fortunately, this was the tomb of a saint. Even if they fought until the heavens fell and the earth cracked, it was still fine. Even if it was earth-shattering, the saint's ancient tomb would not shatter. Hence, they only needed to distance themselves to a safe distance. Buzz! The three forces collided. After that, Lin Xian made his move. Since the other party was courting death, he would fulfill his wish. His chaotic sky destroyer sword burst out with a terrifying sword light. The Zhongzhou twin kings also roared. The virtuous one waved the celestial treasure wheel, while the evil one waved the death scythe. The two of them charged out together. Not only that, but a huge square seal formed above their heads. It shone with thousands of rays of light. It protected their souls. Chapter 2552. Brat, we've already protected our souls with our previous experience. You won't be able to break our soul protection. Let's see what you can do without your soul attack. The Zhongzhou twin kings laughed sinisterly as they quickly rushed over. Sure enough, when the surrounding people saw this scene, they cried out in alarm. Haha, without the soul attack, this brat's strength would be greatly reduced. He wouldn't be a match for the Zhongzhou twin kings. This was for sure. Just wait and see. This time he's definitely dead. The surrounding people sneered. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The other party was too naive. Did they really think that his strength would be greatly reduced without his soul power? What a joke! His soul power was only his trump card. His true strength wasn't something these people could imagine. In the next moment, he waved his ancient sword. 3 runes unraveled, and a shocking sword light flashed out. Boom! Today's collision sounded. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The terrifying power shattered everything in all directions. It even blasted the Zhongzhou twin kings away. What? The Zhongzhou twin kings were blasted away. How was this possible? Everyone was stunned. This was completely different from what they had expected. In their opinion, without his soul power, Lin Xian wouldn't be a match for the twin kings at all. But now, the other party was still incomparably powerful. He directly blasted the Zhongzhou twin kings away. The twin kings of Central State were also stunned. Their minds went blank. They retreated for a long time before they stopped. Damn it! How could this brat be so strong? Brother, don't be careless. This brat must have obtained some opportunity in this ancient tomb that allowed his cultivation to increase. That's why he could erupt with such power, right? The virtuous one said in a deep voice. The evil child was able to move the demonic energy that filled the sky. He snorted coldly. Damn it, this brat's luck was really good. He actually broke through. But so what? Did he really think that we didn't have any opportunities? Today, we'll let him see how powerful we are. The Zhongzhou twin kings smiled. They didn't attack again. Instead, they stopped in midair. Soon, light flickered on their bodies. They took out something from their storage rings. It was an arrayed disc with words carved on a stone. It was abnormally old and covered with cracks. 1/3 of the edges had even disappeared. Obviously, this was not the complete thing. However, the Central Province's twin kings were extremely cautious and excited as they held the treasure in their hands. From the looks of it, the value of this stone plate was beyond their imagination. "Brat, I'll show you our fortuitous encounter." The two of them grinned and waved their palms, pouring their power into the stone plate. Suddenly, the stone plate trembled, and the patterns on it lit up quickly. It was very mysterious. One rune after another floated out and rotated above them. Wang! An earth-shattering voice rang out as a tall figure walked out from the runes that filled the sky. It was a stone golem. It was 2 meters tall, and its body was filled with the texture of rocks. However, it was full of cracks, and a third of it had even disappeared. Clearly, the degree of damage was the same as the damage to the stone plate. The stone man was summoned by the stone plate. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. What was that? It sounded like the Zhongzhou twin kings had obtained a treasure from the saint's tomb. But what was the use of this stone man? Attack? Or were they puppets? Everyone discussed fervently, but soon they found out. The stone man should be a kind of attacking puppet. In the sky, the tall stone man's body swayed and directly smashed through the void, instantly arriving in front of Lin Xian. Boom! The stone hand slapped out, forming terrifying black holes one after another, completely enveloping Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he instantly dodged. At the same time, he slashed at the stone man with his sword. Clang! An earth-shattering sound rang out, and sparks flew. However, the stone man was not damaged at all. He only took a few steps back, roared again, and charged forward. What a strong defense! Everyone exclaimed. They had seen how terrifying Lin Xian's sword technique was. He had directly split the yin-yang saint in half with one strike. Even a top-notch saint would have a headache if he saw such sword chi. However, the stone man in front of them, he actually took a strike head-on and was not injured at all. This was really beyond everyone's expectations. Treasure. This was definitely an earth-shattering treasure. This defensive power was even more terrifying than a heaven-grade treasure. No wonder the middle ground twin kings were so excited earlier. They had definitely struck gold. Their luck was too good to be able to find such a treasure in the saint's tomb. Exclamations rang out. Obviously, the stone man's defense was indeed beyond their expectations. Lin Xian also frowned, and his face turned gloomy. What a terrifying defensive power! He knew his own sword technique best. Even a peerless almighty would not dare to take his strike head-on. However, the stone man withstood it. No wonder the middle ground twin kings were so confident. Kid, did you see that? In front of our fortuitous opportunity. Your fortuitous opportunity is nothing at all. In terms of talent, you are no match for us. In terms of fortuitous opportunity, you are no match for us. Therefore, you can die in peace. Is that so? Lin Xian sneered. However, you are too confident. The fortuitous opportunity you are so proud of is nothing at all in front of me. Stubborn fellow, who do you think you are? The stone man's defense is far beyond your imagination. You can't break it at all. The twin kings snorted coldly. Their eyes were filled with disdain because they had tested it before. Even they could not break it. Unless they used a super trump card, it was impossible to kill it. Therefore, they did not believe that the other party could break it so easily. Lin Xian did not say anything. Instead, he stretched out his hand and grabbed a few black bugs. Go, it's time to show your strength. Lin Xian grabbed 5 bugs and threw them out. These bugs danced in the sky and rushed toward the stone man. In an instant, they landed on the honest man. What were those things? The surrounding people were stunned. How many bugs did the other party take out? What kind of joke was that? Was the other party an idiot? How could a few bugs kill such a terrifying stone man? They did not believe it at all. The middle ground twin kings also sneered disdainfully. Kid, it seems that you are really at the end of your rope. In that case, let me finish you off. They controlled the stone plate again and made the stone man attack crazily. However, very soon, the stone men stopped in midair. It was because a small stone had fallen from their bodies. Although it was very small, it still attracted everyone's attention, especially the middle ground twin kings, their pupils constricted. Damn it, what was going on? Something actually fell down? The evil son was shocked. The virtuous son said, "Brother, don't worry, it must be something else. How could this stone man be damaged?" The evil son's expression returned to normal, and he snorted coldly again. However, not long after, a few more small stones fell. Moreover, the stone man's movement in front of him became slower. In fact, a crack appeared on his body. A crack that should not have appeared. Damn it, the stone man was injured. This time, it wasn't just the twin kings. The other chosen powerhouses had also witnessed this scene. They were stunned. What was going on? Such a powerful stone man and peerless sword chi could not break it. At this moment, it was actually damaged? Damn it, it had something to do with that bug. What kind of bug was that? It was so terrifying. They were extremely puzzled. Chapter 2553. Damn it! Aren't those black bugs similar to the metal-devouring bugs? Some powerhouses exclaimed. What? Are you talking about the bugs that were created with the dark night gold in the cave? The others also came back to their senses. They looked carefully and exclaimed in surprise. Damn it, it's really them. They thought that they looked familiar, but they did not think that way. That was because they had suppressed some of those bugs in their sacred grounds. However, they did not dare to use them. Those bugs contained the will of the saints, which was extremely terrifying. They did not dare to use them now. They could only use them after the elders of their sacred grounds refined them. But now, the other party had taken out a few black bugs. Was he not afraid that the will of the saints would leak out and cause some unforeseen events? No, damn it, the stone golem had blasted those bugs away many times. Those bugs all flew back to attack the stone golem. That shouldn't be. Those bugs attacked indiscriminately. Why are they only attacking the stone golem this time? Just as they were feeling puzzled, the stone golem in front of them shattered again, and a few holes appeared on its body. There was also a hole in between his eyebrows, so he stopped in midair. What happened? Why isn't it moving? Everyone was surprised again. Lin Xian, on the other hand, smiled. It seemed that he had indeed destroyed the stone golem. Not only did he have the black bugs, but he also had the heavenly secret divine eye. He discovered that there was a rune in the stone golem's head. Therefore, he asked the black bugs to bite the rune. As expected, the stone golem in front of them, it stopped moving. Damn it! Move! The middle creased twin kings roared like they had gone mad. However, no matter how they tried to control it, the stone golem seemed to have fallen into a deep sleep and stopped moving. It had truly turned into a statue. Come back! Lin Xian waved his hand, and all the black bugs returned to his side as he put them away. Seeing that scene, everyone went crazy. Damn it, what did that kid do? He actually recalled the black bugs so easily. Oh my God! Why do I feel that he can control those black bugs? One of the saints screamed. When the others heard that, they were even more terrified. Nonsense, how can he control them? That's right, those black bugs contain the will of the saints. He can't erase it at all. Don't scare us. Voices rang out one after another. Clearly, no one dared to believe this fact. Lin Xian did not explain. He wanted to be mysterious, because only then would the saints and powerhouses fear him. At that moment, everyone's gaze to Lin Xian changed. Damn it, this brat is too freaky. First, there was the terrifying soul power, and then there was the peerless sword art. Now there was the black bug. He can even control them. Who is this kid? Why do I feel that the twin kings of the Central Prefecture are in danger this time? Don't speak nonsense. Although the stone man was damaged, the Central State twin kings were not injured. The saints as haven't you noticed? Ever since this kid appeared, He hasn't lost a single battle. Whether it was the 5 elements Saint Sun, the 10,000 Thunder Saint Sun, the Yin Yang Saint Sun, or the Twin Kings this time. Every opponent is getting stronger and stronger, but he's also getting stronger and has more and more trump cards. He's like a bottomless pit, able to defeat all the powerhouses and remain invincible. Is this true? Everyone was horrified. They thought about it carefully and found that it was true. Ever since I met him, he's never been defeated. Oh my God, he's a great emperor, an old man exclaimed, and the others all turned their heads to look. It was rumored that when the great emperor was young, he was invincible among his peers and had never been defeated. It was common for him to kill enemies above his level. Only by defeating all the powerhouses in the world can one become a great emperor. The kid in front of me seems to be on the path of an ancient, great emperor. The saint of all beginnings said in a deep voice, "Ancient, great emperor." These 4 words were like a mountain, pressuring people to the point that they couldn't breathe. All the saints and saintesses were silent. They stared at Lin Xian, and a cold light flashed in their eyes. Each of them looked as if they were facing a formidable enemy, because as top prodigies and peerless geniuses, their goal was to become the saint lords of their respective sacred lands. There was an even more ambitious goal, which was to become a great emperor. Only by becoming a great emperor could one rule the world and be qualified to enter the legendary immortal realm. Only then could one be qualified to become an immortal. They had been working tirelessly for this goal. But now there was a person walking ahead of them. The other party had already shown the aptitude and demeanor of a young great emperor, which made them extremely vigilant. On the road to becoming a great emperor, everyone was an enemy. The twin kings of Zhongzhou also understood this truth. Therefore, they didn't hold back at all. They exerted all their strength and attacked. This was an extremely exciting battle. The 2 fought until the sky fell and the earth cracked and the sun and moon dimmed. Countless rays of light shone in the sky, and cracks spread in all directions. The monstrous sea of blood surged and dyed the entire sky red. The ancient dragon abyss soared across the sky, and every time it slashed down, it was accompanied by a shocking dragon roar. On the opposite side, the celestial treasure wheel and the death scythe were becoming more and more terrifying. They evolved magical powers all over the sky to contend with the biting cold sword chi in the sky. Buzz! The shock wave of the shocking attack spread out in all directions. Suddenly, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Many experts didn't have time to retreat and were directly sent flying by the shock wave. The other saints and experts' faces changed. It was too terrifying. Just the shockwave alone was so powerful that it shocked them greatly. The others retreated crazily and no longer dared to move forward. Lin Xian also frowned. He had to admit that the twin kings of Zhongzhou were indeed terrifying. They were indeed powerful to be able to dominate Zhongzhou for so many years. If he didn't have the great dragon sword soul to display his super powerful combat strength, it would be difficult for him to fight until now. After all, it was as if he was fighting 2 saints by himself. Boom! Boom! In the sky, there was another collision of ultimate skills. The power of light and darkness rushed toward Lin Xian together. Lin Xian used 4 killer moves to contend with it. Puff! The twin kings of Zhongzhou vomited blood and retreated. Lin Xian also kept retreating. His robe was dyed red with blood. The collision of magical powers caused both of them to be injured. Buzz! In the sky, Lin Xian stopped and channeled the longevity incantation. The energy in his body surged, and the light on his body circulated quickly, forming a dragon-shaped shadow that wrapped around him. The giant dragon opened its mouth and roared. The dragon sucked hard, and the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in all directions was sucked into its body and poured into Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian channeled the longevity incantation and used the energy to repair his body. On the other side, The twin kings of Zhongzhou were also roaring. The golden light on their bodies and the monstrous demonic qi kept rolling, repairing their injuries. Kid, I have to admit that you are strong and are our opponent. No one has been able to fight with us for so long. You are the first. However, this is the end. Next, I will let you know what true despair is. The twin kings of Zhongzhou said coldly. Chapter 2554. Boom! Zhongzhou's twin kings roared, and a bronze chariot rushed out from between his eyebrows. Light swirled on the chariot, and sinister heads were carved on it. It was very mysterious. The bronze chariot emitted an unparalleled power, shattering the void and causing the surrounding people to tremble. Heaven-grade treasure, many people exclaimed. The saints' pupils shrank because they could feel that this was not an ordinary heaven-grade treasure. It might be a mid-grade heaven-grade treasure. At this level, it was definitely a powerful weapon. It could wipe out an area. If it was controlled by a top almighty, it would be extremely terrifying. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect Zhongzhou's twin kings to have a mid-grade, heaven-grade treasure. Lin Xian also frowned. He knew the power of a mid-grade, heaven-grade treasure. The ancient Taoist robe on his body was a mid-grade, heaven-grade treasure. He did not expect the other party to have one as well. But so what? Even if the other party had a mid-grade, heaven-grade treasure, he was not afraid. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand bloomed with a brilliant light. It was an ancient treasure and a heaven-grade treasure. Its grade was unknown, but it obviously surpassed a mid-grade heaven-grade treasure. The crimson dragon sealed it with 9 seals. At this moment, Lin Xian had already broken 3 seals, but now he had broken another one. The 4th seal was opened. Boom! 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 The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Sword qi swept across the world, shattering the void. The surrounding warriors' faces all changed. Damn it, the long sword in the kid's hand is also a treasure. Looking at its power, it was no weaker than a mid-grade, heaven-grade treasure. The battle between 2 mid-grade, heaven-grade treasures was absolutely terrifying and destructive. If it were not for the Saint's Tomb, this attack would have completely collapsed the area within a radius of 1,000,000 miles. However, the Saint's Tomb had completely suppressed this power. The internal space was blasted into smithereens. Not only that, but outside the Saint's Tomb, countless large cracks appeared and spread out in all directions within a radius of 1,000,000 miles. The plains and earth that had been there before had turned into huge canyons that were tens of thousands of feet tall. Damn it! Retreat! In the ancient tomb, the holy sons, holy daughters, and other experts retreated one after another. Leaf Dao Denier, sage son Alcade, and the crown prince of the Grand Xia all unleashed their power. Humph! In the sky, the bronze chariot continued to expand until it was about 10 meters tall. There were ferocious heads on them. If one looked carefully, they were all ferocious beasts of the world. Among them, there were 4 heads that were the most terrifying. They were scattered around the bronze chariot. This bronze chariot was also known as the 4 Beasts Chariot. The Central State Twin Kings stood on the 4 Beast Chariot, holding the celestial treasure wheel and the death scythe in their hands. Their eyes shone with cold light. His powerful aura suppressed the surroundings. Kid, I admit that you're very powerful, but in front of our trump cards, you don't have any power to resist at all. Kneel down and accept your death obediently, and I can give you a quick death. The Central State Twin Kings looked down like immortal kings, making people look up to them. Humph! You want me to admit defeat with a mere mid-grade Heaven Step artifact? You're really too naive. If you have any tricks up your sleeves, just use them. Lin Xian snorted disdainfully. You'll see. Since you don't know what's good for you, I'll fulfill your wish. The Central State Twin Kings waved their palms. Tens of thousands of rays of light bloomed, and the 4 ferocious heads seemed to have come to life, roaring one after another. The 4 heads spewed out countless rays of light, each of which could kill a peerless powerhouse. It could be said that it was extremely dangerous. Kill. Lin Xian held the ancient Dragon Abyss sword in his hand and cooperated with the great Dragon Sword Soul to attack. The 2 of them fought again. The celestial treasure wheel, the death scythe, the boundless demonic chi, and the sky full of golden light shone in the sky. At the same time, Lin Xian used the power of 5 elements and the chaos sword technique. There were dragon roars and sword cries, and all kinds of unique skills emerged one after another. Both of them used powerful attacks and trump cards. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. The great dragon sword soul in his body continued to rise, and dragon roars and sword cries rang out. This time he wanted to kill the Central State Twin Kings once and for all. He would not let the other party escape. He knew that this was a peerless enemy. Not only was he strong and talented, but he also had great opportunities. If he let the other party continue to grow, it would be troublesome for him in the future. It was better to take advantage of this opportunity to kill him completely. The Central State Twin Kings had the same plan. They drove the 4-beast chariot and attacked crazily. Lin Xian waved the ancient dragon sword, which turned into a giant dragon-shaped sword that was 100 feet long and pressed down mercilessly. Sword after sword collided fiercely with the 4-beast chariot. Boom! Boom! After dozens of sword strikes, the 4-beast chariot kept retreating, and the Central State Twin Kings also vomited blood. Their bodies were dyed red. Even if they were strong, even if they had the 4-beast chariot, they still could not resist. No way, that kid is so strong. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Originally, they thought that the Central State Twin Kings would win, but they did not expect that the 2 sides were locked in a fierce battle. When the Twin Kings took out their mid-grade heaven-class artifacts, they thought that there was no suspense in this battle. However, things went beyond their expectations again. The Twin Kings were the first to be injured, and the other party was getting stronger and stronger. After the Twin Kings became angry, the good one kept driving the 4-beast chariot, while the evil one spat out a black saber. The saber was broken in half, and it emitted a terrifying, murderous aura. As soon as it appeared, it shattered the void. It was another mid-grade heaven-class artifact, but it was a broken mid-grade heaven-class artifact. Everyone exclaimed. They did not expect the Twin Kings to have such a terrifying trump card. It's useless. It's just a broken mid-grade heaven-class artifact. Even if you use it, it won't be a threat to me. Lin Xian's ancient Taoist robe burned, forming a strong defense. The ancient Dragon Abyss sword in his hand was even more powerful. Every strike tore the world apart. Boom! Boom! Uft! The Twin Kings vomited blood again. Indeed, even if he took out the black saber again, he would not be able to resist. Lin Xian was too strong. The ancient dragon sword was mysterious and unpredictable, and the great dragon sword spirit was an offensive saint technique. Therefore, the Twin Kings were defeated in this battle. The Twin Kings roared angrily and turned to escape. The 4-beast chariot bloomed with incomparable light. It was about to rush into the sky. Buzz! Lin Xian raised his hand and struck out the 5-element sword. It turned into a cage, suppressing heaven and earth, blocking the Twin Kings' path. Want to leave? It was impossible. Today you will stay here. Lin Xian's voice was cold. His body was full of murderous aura. He held the killing sword in his hand and strode forward. Damn kid, don't go too far. The Twin Kings roared angrily. He did not expect that the other party would dare to block his path. It was really hateful. Lin Xian sneered. What? You're allowed to bring people to kill me, but I'm not allowed to fight back. You're too naive. If you don't pay a price today, don't think about leaving. Chapter 2555. Damn it, I'll fight you to the death. Zhong Zhou's twin kings turned around and charged. He did not believe that his opponent could hurt him again. He guessed that his opponent must not have much strength left after fighting for so long. However, he soon screamed in agony. He realized that his opponent's sword chi had not weakened. In fact, it had become even sharper. Damn it, how is that possible? How can he be so powerful? He should have been exhausted long ago. He was not the only one. Everyone around him was stunned. How can his opponent's strength be endless? Damn it, this kid has so many treasures. He must have secretly taken them. That was the only explanation that could make them feel at ease. On the other side, Zhong Zhou's twin king's body was riddled with wounds. More than half of his bones were broken. He also swallowed treasures and large drops of spiritual liquid to recover instantly. Kill. After another earth-shattering battle, Zhong Zhou's twin kings was injured again. This time his injuries were even more serious. It had even damaged his origin. Therefore, although consuming treasures and spiritual herbs could help his body recover, his combat strength was weaker than before. He could only use about 80% of his previous power. That put him at an even greater disadvantage. However, he realized that Lin Xian's combat strength had also weakened. After fighting for such a long time, he finally realized that his opponent was not invincible. His strength would also weaken. When the other saints and elders saw that, they also heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, their opponent would also be exhausted. Otherwise, they would have thought that their opponent was a monster. Lin Xian sneered. So what if my strength has weakened? I'm more than enough to kill you. Lin Xian held the killing sword in his hand and walked forward step by step. The power of the 5 elements surrounded him, suppressing heaven and earth, blocking Zhong Zhou's twin kings' path. With Lin Xian in front of him, Zhong Zhou's twin kings had no way out. Brother twin kings, do you need my help? Just when everyone thought that Zhong Zhou's twin kings were dead for sure, a cold voice suddenly came from afar. It was a woman's voice. It was very pleasant, but there was no emotion in it. Her voice came from afar and clearly reached everyone's ears. One could imagine that the person who spoke was definitely a top expert. Lin Xian also frowned. He stood in the void and turned his head to look into the distance. In the distance, a woman in white walked over. She was extremely beautiful, and her black hair fluttered in the wind. However, there was a domineering look in her eyes. It was rare to see such an expression in a woman's eyes. Therefore, when Lin Xian saw it, he was stunned. "Who are you?" Lin Xian asked coldly. "You don't deserve to know who I am." The woman in white looked proud. She looked disdainfully at the sky and said coldly, "You can leave now. Remember, this is me sparing your life. Hurry up and thank him and leave." What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. The holy sons and holy daughters also frowned. Who was this person? How arrogant! How dare he say such things to Lin Xian? Their understanding of Lin Xian was now different from before. Previously, they had thought that the other party was just an ant that was not worth mentioning. However, after this trip to the ancient tomb, they knew that their previous thinking was completely wrong. The other party wasn't an ant at all, but a dragon, a demon, a killing god. He had killed the 5-element saint and a few other saints, and even slashed the yin-yang saint. Finally, he defeated the middle state twin kings. Every single one of his achievements was an existence that could shock and awe everyone. Such a person could be said to be extremely terrifying. Now, the other holy sons and holy daughters dared not provoke him unless they had no other choice. However, there was someone who dared to speak to him in such a manner. Did he not want to live anymore? Or rather, what kind of mysterious background did he have? Lin Xian also frowned. The other party's arrogant attitude made him very unhappy. The middle state twin kings looked up to the sky and laughed. "Ha ha ha! Brat, continue being arrogant." Come and kill me again. Just you wait. Wait until I leave and recover from my injuries. One day, I will trample you under my feet. I will return all the humiliation I suffered today. The Middle State twin kings were really mad. Ever since he started his cultivation, he had never been defeated. Not to mention that he had severely injured a cripple and almost killed him. Therefore, he swore that he would not let the other party off. Do you think that a woman can protect you? Lin Xian sneered, and the murderous intent in his eyes exploded again. Like a violent storm, it swept in all directions. Lin Xian, I admit that you are very strong, but this time you can't do anything to me. The Middle State twin kings were not afraid in the face of such a terrifying, murderous intent. Instead, they sneered. What did you say his name was? The woman in white turned her head and frowned. His name was Lin Xian, the master of the immortal palace. The Middle State twin kings gritted their teeth and said again, Lin Xian? The Lin Xian who killed General Xianing? The woman in white asked. Yes, it was him. He was the one who killed our General Xianing. The people of the Tai dynasty screamed, Fairy, avenge us! That brat also killed our prince. The people of the Tai dynasty screamed crazily. However, just as they screamed, a scream came from afar. Immediately, everyone turned their heads to look. They all went crazy when they saw that. The people of the Tai dynasty had a mental breakdown. Their royal elder was torn in half by the Bloodwing Bat King, and half of his body was swallowed. The other half of his body exploded into a bloody mist. He was killed. Their imperial family elder had also been killed. The warriors of the Tai dynasty screamed crazily, Fairy, avenge us! Lin Xian? Very well, I'm looking for you. I didn't expect you to be here. It was really a case of traveling far and wide looking for something, only to find it without any effort. The woman in white sneered. Lin Xian frowned. Looking for me? Who are you? Why are you looking for me? He did not know the woman in front of him, nor did he know who she was. He originally thought that she was just passing by and came to save the Middle State twin kings. Who would have thought that it was not the case? I am the war concubine of the war tribe. The woman in white's voice was sonorous. When she spoke, it was like thunder, shattering the world in all directions. War tribe, war concubine. Heavens, she was actually from the war tribe. Everyone was shocked. Even Lin Xian frowned. He did not expect that the woman in white was actually from the war tribe. He was no stranger to the war tribe. He had once killed the young prodigy of the war tribe, the Golden Lion King. He had also fought with the peerless powerhouse of the war tribe, Zhang Wuhen. He had a deep understanding of the power of the war tribe. He did not expect that the woman in front of him was also from the war tribe. She should be a genius of the war tribe. However, so what? Lin Xian snorted coldly and pointed his sword forward. So it's the people of the war tribe. Why? Are you going to die again? How dare you? Who do you think you are? How dare you threaten the war tribe? War concubines can drink. Chapter 2556. You don't have to yell at me. Your battle tribe's genius, the Golden Lion King, was killed by me. Do you think you're stronger than the Golden Lion King? As soon as these words came out, the sky changed color. The surrounding experts exclaimed. They had long heard of this battle. They originally thought it was just a legend, but now they didn't expect to hear it from Lin Xian's mouth again. It seemed that this legend was probably true. This kid not only provoked the Tai dynasty, Five Elements Palace, and other holy lands, but also an ancient family like the Battle Tribe. God, did he not want to live anymore? I don't care what battle concubine you are. Since you provoked me today, I'll make you a dead concubine. Lin Xian's voice was cold. Lin Xian's attitude. It shocked everyone. It seemed that this kid was still as arrogant as ever. It wasn't because the other party was an ancient family. It was because of fear. The middle state twin kings laughed. It seemed that he didn't need to instigate the two sides to fight. Moreover, it was the kind that would fight to the death. Thinking of this, he quickly retreated, activated the 4-beast chariot, broke the 5-element seal, and then fled into the distance. Humph! Lin Xian coldly snorted, waved his hand, and stretched out, wanting to block the middle state twin kings. Clang! In mid-air, a sonorous sound rang out, and the green palm was blocked. Your opponent now is me. The battle concubine's voice was cold as she blocked Lin Xian's path. Get lost! Lin Xian coldly shouted and punched out. With a bang, the starry sky shattered. The battle concubine's body emitted a dazzling light, forming a resplendent armor that covered her delicate body. At the same time, he waved his hand, and a golden halberd appeared in his hand. It gently slid, piercing through the void in front of him. A peerlessly beautiful woman holding a gigantic halberd. This scene truly gave people a feeling of extreme shock and awe. Kid, you dare to offend my battle tribe. Now go to hell and repent. The battle concubine waved the halberd in her hand and slashed forward. A huge golden light fell from the sky like a waterfall. How terrifying! This battle concubine was indeed terrifying. Heavens, are all the people from the war race this terrifying? First, it was the Golden Lion King. Now, a battle concubine appeared. I suspect that any random youngster from their war race would be able to suppress a region. Countless martial artists were frightened and envious, but they knew it was useless. They couldn't be envious. The war race had been passed down since ancient times, and could even be traced back to an even more ancient era. They were a race that was born for war, and they had a terrifying bloodline power in their bodies. He was born with a powerful combat strength. In addition to the war clan's abundant resources, the martial artists of the war clan would often reveal their talents in their youth and become proud sons of heaven. Looking at it now, it was indeed extraordinary. At the very least, this Zhanji was definitely not weaker than a holy sun. In fact, she was even stronger than an ordinary holy sun. Whoa! However, so what if he was strong? Lin Xian snorted coldly. He waved the Dragon Abyss Valley sword and slashed towards the sky. When it collided with the halberd, a shocking sound rang out. It was as if hundreds of thousands of golden lightning bolts were about to fall together. The war race had already become a legend. You shouldn't have appeared. Go back to your tribe and live a peaceful life. The battle outside no longer belongs to you. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous and filled with incomparable confidence. Pung pung pung. The Zhanji was forced back. The armor on her body flickered with light, neutralizing the force. Then it stopped in the void. A shocking glow burst out from her beautiful eyes, like two suns, growing stronger and stronger. Doesn't belong to us? Kid, I have to say that you are too arrogant or too ignorant. When my war race ruled the world, you hadn't appeared yet. History is rolling, and there will always be powerful beings that disappear, and there will also be rising talents that stand at the top of the common people. Your war race will still become history. Now this world belongs to us. The future also belongs to us. The sword intent on Lin Xian's body became stronger and stronger. An extremely terrifying dragon roar and sword cry sounded. At this moment, he was like a peerless sword god. Belongs to you? What a joke! The Zhanji snorted disdainfully. The other holy sons and holy daughters in the distance also had cold expressions. The other party was not a great emperor yet, but he said such arrogant words. He really didn't know life from death. Since ancient times, how many brilliant geniuses, how many powerhouses that shocked the past and present. But in the end, how many great emperors appeared. Too many heavens, chosen experts, shining stars had fallen in the passage of time. Without reaching the final step, no one dared to say that they were invincible. But now, Lin Xian had actually said such words. They couldn't help but be shocked. Ignorant kid. Next, I will let you see the true power of my war race. The Zhanji's voice was ice cold. On her body, mysterious runes appeared one after another, starting to circulate. A blood-colored aura wrapped around her. Bloodline power. This was the war race's bloodline power. In the distance, a holy sun cried out in surprise. The other martial artists also cried out in surprise. They looked ahead, their bodies trembling, feeling as if the blood in their bodies was about to coagulate. They even had a feeling of wanting to kneel down and worship that beautiful figure in front of them. Bloodline suppression. This was absolute bloodline power. Some elders cried out in surprise, roaring like crazy, carrying out resistance. Those who were weak retreated, frantically. Humph! Yi Wu Dao coldly snorted, golden light circulating around his body like a war god. He also activated the Yi family's bloodline power. Immediately, the war race's bloodline suppression was neutralized. Behind him, the demon imperial palace's Yen Rui's eyes also circulated, her body instantly recovering. One could imagine that Yen Rui's bloodline power was definitely not weaker than Yi Wudao's. But as for what it was, probably no one knew. Besides them, Hua Tiandu Wuhua, the crown prince, Gu Santong, Murong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and the others also circulated their bloodline power. They resisted. At this moment, the holy sons and geniuses with bloodline power used all kinds of methods. As for those without bloodline power, or those with weak bloodline power, they could only retreat. Or they could use artifacts to defend. Just because the other party had activated their bloodline power and hadn't used any major methods. It created such a terrifying scene. One had to admit that the war race's bloodline power was too terrifying. Even after endless years, after countless generations of inheritance, it still had such power. They didn't dare to imagine how terrifying the first generation war god old ancestor would have been. He probably wouldn't be weaker than the ancient emperors. Or it was possible that the war race old ancestor was an ancient emperor. However, the war race had existed for too long. They didn't have any information about the war race old ancestor. But for the other party to be able to pass down his bloodline for so many years, he was definitely an earth-shattering character. Lin Xian also felt an immense pressure. In fact, the pressure he felt was even stronger than the other holy sons and holy daughters. That was because he didn't have bloodline power. Chapter 2557. Seeing Lin Xian's body tremble. Zhan Ji revealed a disdainful sneer in the distance. Kid, did you see that? I've only activated my bloodline power, and you're already trembling. What else do you have to fight against me? A mortal like you can't even withstand a single blow from my war tribe's bloodline. Now, kneel down obediently and accept your death. Zhan Ji's voice was cold. In the distance, Zhong Zhou's twin kings, Tai Dynasty and Five Elements Palace all smiled sinisterly. It seemed that there was no suspense in this battle. This was because they had never seen Lin Xian use his bloodline power before. Thinking about it, he shouldn't have any powerful bloodline. In that case, he wouldn't be able to fight against the war tribe's bloodline power. Bloodline power? It was indeed very powerful. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "But you don't have anything to be proud of. This bloodline power was passed down to you by your ancestors. Even if it's glorious, it's your ancestors' glory, not yours. I don't understand. What do you have to be proud of? Besides, do you think you're invincible just because you have the bloodline power? Today, I'll let you know that even without the bloodline power, I can still beat you up." The sword chi on Lin Xian's body became brighter and brighter. "Ignorant kid, you'll regret it soon." Zhan Ji's voice was cold. She didn't say anything else, and the blood-red light on her body became stronger and stronger. Mysterious runes revolved around her body. The aura on her body was much stronger than before. One could imagine that her strength had also increased by several times. Humph! Seeing this scene, Lin Xian made his move. He wouldn't let his opponent's strength continue to increase. Using the demigods and semi-devils, Lin Xian rushed forward like lightning. At the same time, he waved the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand and slashed forward. Boom! The sky trembled and exploded. Zhang Ji also made her move. She waved her halberd, drawing out streaks of golden light in the sky to block the opponent's sword chi. She couldn't get close. Kill! With a soft shout, the bloodline power on Zhang Ji's body became dazzling. Countless runes flickered, providing her with powerful strength. Boom! The heavenly halberd was swung, transforming into a terrifying golden demonic mountain that descended from the sky, causing the dragon origin sword to tremble continuously. How terrifying! Was this the power of the battle clan's bloodline? It was actually able to raise the opponent's combat strength to such a high level. The surrounding cultivators were all trembling in fear. Even Yi Wudao Wu Hua and the others wore dignified expressions. This Zhang Ji was definitely a super strong opponent. If they were to encounter him, they would probably have to go all out to deal with him. This combat concubine was too powerful. That brat might not be able to resist her. Indeed, he was too arrogant. He had underestimated the power of his bloodline. This was especially true for the war race, a race that had been passed down since ancient times. His strength and foundation were absolutely terrifying. Furthermore, from the looks of it, this war concubine's bloodline power was extremely pure. Likely it was rare even in the war race. Sounds of discussion rang out one after another. The majority of the people were talking about the battle clan's bloodline power. Older brother Xian, Lin Xian Gij. In the distance, on the other side, Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu were also extremely nervous. Murong Qingqing's body flickered with light as countless petals danced in the air. A green lotus platform revolved beneath her feet. There were also mysterious crimson runes on her body. It was obvious that Murong Qingqing had also activated her bloodline power. On the other side, Shen Jingqiu was the same. However, both of them were extremely nervous. In fact, they couldn't help but want to make a move. The Crimson Dragon said solemnly, "Don't worry, just watch the battle quietly. That brat won't lose so easily." Indeed, among these people, Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu weren't the ones who understood Lin Xian's strength the most. It was the Crimson Dragon who had grown up with Lin Xian. Therefore, the Crimson Dragon was the least of his worries. At the very least, he knew that Lin Xian wouldn't lose so easily. Buzz, buzz, buzz! Lin Xian was pushed back. The dragon's sword roared, his arms trembled, and the blood in his body surged. His body almost split open. How terrifying! Is this the bloodline power of the battle tribe? It's indeed powerful. His expression was extremely solemn as a trace of golden light appeared in his eyes. At the same time, the great dragon sword soul in his body roared continuously. He's indeed a powerful opponent. However, this time he should be able to make me go all out. Lin Xian felt his blood boiling. He wasn't afraid. Instead, he was excited. After all, it wasn't easy to find a powerful opponent and fight to your heart's content. Now he had finally found one. Very good. The bloodline power of the battle tribe is very powerful. It's worth it for me to go all out. Lin Xian waved his arm and circulated the energy in his body to get rid of the numbness. At the same time, terrifying sword chi burst out from his body. His combat strength increased once again. A dragon-shaped shadow appeared on his body and roared. What? Hearing Lin Xian's words, the surrounding people were shocked. What did he mean by it was worth it for him to go all out? Could it be that he didn't use his full strength previously? How was that possible? No one believed it. They didn't believe it and thought that he was putting on a show. However, when they sensed that Lin Xian's sword qi had become stronger again, they were all stunned. Their bodies trembled as they knelt on the ground. His strength had actually increased. Damn it. How was that possible? Could it be that he really didn't use his full strength previously? I don't believe it. He didn't use his full strength and he killed the Yin-Yang Saint? He defeated the twin kings of Middle State? Just what level had this brat's true strength reached? Screams rang out as everyone looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at a super monster. Zhang Ji also frowned. Lin Xian didn't run away in fear. Instead, he became more courageous and even said more arrogant words. Used his full strength? Humph. Don't try to be mysterious. You must have used a secret technique to burn your spiritual power or blood to temporarily obtain this powerful strength. That's an unorthodox technique that can temporarily increase one's strength. However, the aftereffects are huge. Compared to our bloodline power, it's a far cry. Zhang Ji's face was full of disdain. In her opinion, Lin Xian had used such a self-damaging method to increase his strength again. How could such a method be able to contend against the power of her bloodline? More importantly, her bloodline power had endless uses. It was definitely not something that Lin Xian could imagine. As expected, the void trembled. Countless blood-colored runes circled around Zhang Ji's body as if a blood-colored armor was draped over her body. The sky halberd in his hand seemed to be covered by a layer of blood-colored light. Kill! With a furious roar, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Everyone retreated again. The terrifying sky halberd was like a blood-colored dragon that charged toward Lin Xian. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar rang out. The 9 heavens and 10 lands shook. Countless sword qi intertwined to form a sword diagram that enveloped Lin Xian. A huge dragon-shaped shadow spread out from Lin Xian's body and enveloped him. Chapter 2558. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky, the sky piercer received a shock and even trembled before flying back with a bang. What? So powerful! Everyone was stunned as they looked at Lin Xian with their mouths agape. What was that? Dragon. Damn it. Why do I feel that the aura of the dragon on this kid is even stronger than those geniuses of the royal family? Damn it. Could it be that he has the bloodline of the dragon? When this thought came out, it gave them a fright. Everyone hurriedly shook their heads. Don't joke around. How could he have the bloodline of the dragon race? That's right, the dragon is a legendary divine beast, and it's not certain if it exists. Indeed, the powerful beasts and mutants that have been discovered so far are all related to the dragon, or their descendants are related to the bloodline. But no one has ever seen a real dragon. Although this kid doesn't have the power of the bloodline, I think he should have something else. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to be so powerful. Sounds of discussion could be heard as the saints and experts in the surroundings discussed intensely. In the distance, the people of the Demon Imperial Palace were also extremely shocked. Many of them even trembled, and the blood in their bodies seemed to be condensed. Although they were all mutants and had the power of the bloodline, they usually roared in all directions. But now they discovered that their bloodline power actually wanted to submit to the other party. What was going on? Could it be that the other party really had the bloodline of the dragon race? But the other party was clearly just a human. They couldn't understand. Hua Tiandu's face was also gloomy. He also activated his bloodline power to resist the pressure coming from the front. Yan Ruyu's eyes flickered as she looked forward. In front of her, there was a green lotus swaying gently, enveloping her. Kill! With a furious roar, Lin Xian attacked. Countless dragon-shaped sword qi wrapped around the ancient sword and slashed forward, directly shattering the void and destroying the blood-colored light. Boom! The Zhang Ji was blasted back, smashing through the void. However, The blood-colored patterns on her body became even more resplendent, releasing a terrifying pressure. In fact, countless blood-colored runes condensed behind her, forming a hazy blood-colored figure. The moment this figure appeared, it directly shattered the 9 heavens and 10 lands. A terrifying force surged over like thousands of waves. Bang, bang, bang. Many martial artists vomited blood as they were sent flying. Their faces were filled with horror. What was a blood-red figure? Bloodline atavism. Oh heavens, this war concubine is so terrifying to be able to achieve ancestral awakening. An elder screamed, Leaf Dowdenier, No Flower, Gu Santong, and the others all wore grave expressions. They were all possessors of bloodline power. Naturally, they knew the use and origin of bloodline power. Bloodline atavism was an extremely frightening and terrifying thing. This meant that the other party either had extraordinary talent or was born with exceptionally pure bloodline power. Normally, only those of the direct bloodline would appear. Of course, the other branch bloodlines would also appear, but the chances were much lower than the direct bloodline. The other was the evolution of one's bloodline. In other words, he would not be able to reach ancestral awakening in the beginning and would only have ordinary bloodline power. However, by relying on various opportunities and their own strength, they were able to evolve their bloodline power and reach the level of ancestral awakening. Regardless of which it was, ancestral awakening was definitely an incredible thing. The so-called bloodline power was actually a type of inheritance. When the ancestor of a family reached a cultivation level that could pierce through the heavens and earth, he would change his body and blood and then pass down this power through his descendants. Generally speaking, the stronger one was, the more powerful the bloodline power passed down. However, as time passed, the effect of the power of the bloodline became lesser and lesser. However, if someone in the family broke through again and reached the level of a sage, the bloodline power could be strengthened again and continue to be passed down. Within the bloodline power, there were remnants of the ancestor's bloodline. If one used a special method to activate it, it could form a phantom that borrowed the ancestor's power. This was the origin of the blood-red figure behind the war concubine. This blood-red figure should be one of the ancestors of the war tribe. However, whether or not it was the first ancestor, they did not know. However, even if it wasn't the first ancestor, it should be an extremely terrifying existence. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to manifest. As expected, when the blood-red figure appeared, the expressions of everyone around changed. Even Lin Xian frowned. He felt a strong sense of danger. The threat that the blood-red figure posed to him was too great. Buzz! As soon as the blood-red figure appeared, he raised his hand and slapped out. The endless void shattered, and a blurry blood-red palm descended from the sky. Boom! The space in front of him instantly shattered. Lin Xian used the demigods and semi-devils and quickly dodged. The ancient Taoist robe on his body burned. At the same time, he crazily slashed out dozens of sword lights. However, he was still sent flying. In an instant, all of the sword chi was destroyed. Even the ancient Taoist robe was suppressed. Lin Xian vomited large mouthfuls of blood, and more than half of the bones in his body were broken. However, in the end, he managed to dodge and was not killed. He was injured. That kid was seriously injured. Countless people exclaimed, Heavens, the blood-red figure was too terrifying. Lin Xian was so powerful that he could kill many saints, but he couldn't block a single palm from the blood-red figure. If it wasn't for the fact that the other party was fast enough, his body and soul would have been destroyed by that palm. At this moment, countless people looked at the blood-red figure and trembled. That's great. The people of the Tai dynasty and the Five Elements Palace laughed sinisterly. In the distance, the twin kings of Middle Ground also grinned, revealing a cruel smile. Humph, kid, let's see how you die this time. Brother Lin is probably in danger. Yi Wudao also said in a deep voice, At the side, Wu Hua also had a serious expression. The Prince of Great Xia, the Alcade Saint, and the others were all paying close attention. Damn it! This time, even the Crimson Dragon was nervous. That was because the blood-red figure also gave him a great sense of danger. He had miscalculated. He didn't expect that the war concubine could reach the bloodline awakening realm. Not good. Brother Xian is injured. Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu were also very nervous. At the side, Xing Tian roared in anger. His palm had already formed a seal. As long as the situation was not right, he would immediately use magic arsenal. He would use the best puppets to save Lin Xian. Cough, cough. In the sky, Lin Xian stopped and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Kid, do you see that? This is the difference between us. In front of the power of my bloodline, you can't resist at all. So, obediently kneel and accept your death. I can give you a quick death. The war concubine looked down at Lin Xian from above. Victory was already in her hands. Her opponent couldn't block the ancestor's phantom that she summoned. Not to mention her opponent, there were probably not many people present who could withstand it. Chapter 2559. Only people like Yi Wudao and Wu Hua, who could summon their ancestors' phantoms, could have a chance against her. However, that was only limited to Yi Wudao and a few others. As for the kid in front of her, let alone the phantoms of ancestors, he didn't even have the power of bloodline. How could he be her opponent? The Zhan Ji stretched out her jade-like finger and waved it in the air. One move, I only need one move. I can kill you. A confident smile appeared on her beautiful face. One move. Hearing this, everyone's eyelids twitched. The Zhan Ji was too confident, but she did have the qualifications to be so. Their gazes turned to Lin Xian once again. That brat was most likely going to die this time. There was no other way. There was always a higher mountain. Who asked this kid to be so arrogant before? Now that he had offended the battle tribe, he was probably going to be killed. This was even better. On the road to becoming a great emperor, there would be one less powerful opponent. I've said it before. A genius who doesn't grow up is nothing. Even if this kid was talented and powerful, no one would remember him after his body and soul were destroyed. Many young geniuses sneered because they were jealous of Lin Xian. Moreover, they didn't have the strength to defeat Lin Xian. Therefore, when they saw someone who could injure Lin Xian, they naturally laughed sinisterly. A pooey, shameless guy. Ben Huang will spit on you to death. Insidious ants like you dare to say that you can step on the road to becoming a great emperor? Look in the mirror. Do you have the qualifications? Damn snake, what did you say? The young geniuses were furious. A snake dared to look down on them? The Crimson Dragon sneered. What did I say? I said you were trash. Trash. If you really think you're a genius and want to walk the road to becoming a great emperor, then go and fight Lin Xian now. You don't even have the guts to fight him. Don't you think it's ridiculous to talk about the road to becoming a great emperor? The young geniuses were so angry that they vomited blood. Indeed, they didn't dare to fight Lin Xian. However, they wouldn't allow a snake to look down on them. Therefore, among them, two figures sneered. Damn snake, I'll kill you today. The two of them charged towards the Crimson Dragon like ghosts. However, in an instant they screamed and retreated. Half of their bodies were crushed by the dragon's claws. The Crimson Dragon tossed half of the corpse into its mouth and started munching. His gaze was like a blood-red arrow, piercing through all directions. I'll teach you a lesson. If you dare to provoke Ben Huang again, Ben Huang will eat you alive. Damn it, just you wait. Those young martial artists who had sneered earlier fled like stray dogs. They didn't dare to stay any longer. The others were also extremely shocked. Who would have thought that this snake would be so powerful? With just a raise of its hand, It had severely injured several young geniuses. His means were not any weaker than that of the saints. But so what? No matter how arrogant the snake was, that Lin Xian would not be able to escape death. This was certain. His fate had already been decided. In front of him, Lin Xian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes bursting with the light of zero strength. You want to kill me in one move? You're overconfident. Zhang Ji didn't say anything. She controlled the blood-red figure behind her again, and another blood-red palm pushed out. The sky collapsed, and the earth cracked, destroying everything. Lin Xian spat out blood and flew backward again. His body, which had just recovered, was once again in tatters. This was when he used his maximum speed and the ancient Taoist robe. If not for the ancient Taoist robe, his body would probably have been blasted into pieces. Whoosh! Lin Xian's body appeared in the distance. He kept panting, and his Taoist robe was dyed red with blood. However, his eyes were getting brighter and brighter. Kill me in one move. What a joke! After one move, I'm still alive and well. Don't you think that's very mocking? Lin Xian's voice sounded, shocking everyone. Zhang Ji's expression became extremely gloomy. Her opponent had actually dodged. This was really out of her expectations. Moreover, not only did he dodge, but he also mocked her. Zhang Ji's expression darkened, and her killing intent swept out like a storm. So what if he dodged? He was only relying on his strange speed. However, judging from the current situation, her opponent couldn't compete with her at all. He could only dodge passively. How many times could he use such speed? Even if he didn't die in 2 moves, he would probably die in the 3rd. Kid, I have to say that your strength has indeed exceeded my expectations. You can actually take 2 of my moves. However, you don't have to be arrogant. You're basically no different from death in your current situation. Do you think you can escape from my attack in the end? You'll just live a little longer. Everyone was silent. Indeed, they felt that Zhang Ji was right. Judging from the current situation, Lin Xian could only dodge, and he couldn't completely avoid it. After one move, he would be seriously injured. If Zhang Ji didn't have precious recovery treasures, like the large drop of earth spirit liquid, he would probably be dead. Even if he didn't die, he would probably be half dead. Lin Xian didn't say anything. He flipped his palm and took out a jade gourd. He opened the cap and was about to swallow the earth spirit liquid to heal his body. However, at that moment, he frowned. His figure swayed, and he dodged to the side. As soon as he moved, the void beside him exploded. Boundless demonic qi and golden light enveloped him. Although Lin Xian was seriously injured, his soul was not injured. Therefore, he sensed the danger in advance and dodged. However, at that moment, he was still seriously injured, so he couldn't completely dodge. Half of his body was swept away by the surging demonic qi, and he was sent flying. Damn it, what happened now? The shocking change stunned everyone on the spot. Die, kid! A sinister voice came from the front, causing everyone to come back to their senses. The Twin Kings. It was the Twin Kings of Middle Ground. He actually made a move at that moment. It seemed that he hated Zhang Ji to the core and wanted to kill him with his own hands. Exclamations of shock could be heard. That's right. The ones who made the move were none other than the Twin Kings of Middle Ground. Previously, they saw that Lin Xian was seriously injured twice, so they seized the opportunity to make a move before Lin Xian recovered. However, they had underestimated Lin Xian. They did not succeed in killing him in one blow. Kid, you can't escape. The Twin Kings of Middle Ground had a sinister expression. Although his origin was still injured and could not fully recover, he could still kill a seriously injured enemy with only 80% of his strength left. It was definitely a piece of cake. Bloodwing Bat King, kill him. Seeing the Twin Kings of Middle Ground charging at him again, Lin Xian roared angrily. Buzz! A blood-red figure appeared and charged at the Twin Kings of Middle Ground. An intense collision sounded, and the Twin Kings of Middle Ground were sent flying. The blood-winged Bat King spread its wings and charged over. "Get lost, you damned beast!" The twin kings of Middle Ground roared angrily. They brandished the death scythe and charged at the blood-winged Bat King. Chapter 2560. The Middle State Twin Kings roared furiously as they brandished their celestial treasure wheel and death scythe at the Bloodwing Bat King. However, the Bloodwing Bat King was a guardian of the ancient tomb and could not be killed in a short time. Instead, the Middle State Twin Kings were in danger. Buzz! Lin Xian took advantage of this moment to swallow the earth essence liquid. His damaged body and broken bones were all healed. It was useless. Zhanji looked at this scene and did not stop him. She looked at all this coldly with disdain in her eyes. So what if he had recovered? Previously, he could not even block one of her palms when he was at full strength. Now that he had recovered, would he be able to block it? She did not think so. You have eaten so many treasures, so there must be a lot of energy left in your body. After I kill you, I will refine your body and refine all the energy for my use. Zhanji's voice was cold as she slowly raised her palm. Was it going to end? Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. Lin Xian would not be able to withstand the third palm strike. Lin Xian took a deep breath as a cold light burst out from his eyes. He formed a seal with his palms, and the sword qi on his body became more and more piercing. It formed a dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of him. As soon as the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, a dragon's roar and sword's cry rang out. In an instant, countless cracks appeared in the sky. Everyone's bodies trembled again as they kept retreating. Many people were pressed to the ground. Damn it, what was that? He still had a trump card. Even the saints and saintesses exclaimed in surprise. What a terrifying sword intent. This aura was not weaker than the blood-colored figure at all. Damn it, who said that this kid did not have a bloodline power? Screams rang out one after another. They now suspected that Lin Xian definitely had a type of bloodline power, and it was an extremely terrifying bloodline power. Otherwise, why would the dragon-shaped sword shadow be? The power of the dragon-shaped sword shadow was simply too terrifying. Even Zhanji frowned at the sight of it. She also felt a sense of threat that could threaten her life. She could not believe it. The opponent's sword intent was on par with her ancestor's shadow. How could this be? One must know that she possessed the bloodline of the war clan. The bloodlines of their war clan were all extremely powerful. They had only managed to form their bloodline power after tens of thousands of years of accumulation. What exactly was the dragon shadow in the other party's body? How could it be on par with his ancestor's shadow? She didn't know. She didn't believe it either. In the next moment, she said coldly, "Damned brat, no matter what you have, you will not be able to escape death today. Now go to hell." Zhanji didn't want to drag this out any longer. She used all of her strength and struck out with her final palm. Whoa! In the sky, the blood-red figure slowly raised his palm and slapped forward again. The power of this palm was even more terrifying. It was as if 100,000 seas of blood were surging in the sky. Nothing could resist it. Whoa! Lin Xian also grasped the dragon-shaped sword. It was over. He swung his sword without holding back at all. The great dragon sword soul roared as it transformed into 1,000 feet long divine dragon sword shadow, soaring through the sky. Boom! 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 The two sides collided intensely, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were completely devoured. At this moment, everyone activated their defenses and resisted with all their might. They even used their trump cards. Otherwise, they might be killed by the aftermath of this energy. Between heaven and earth, the rumbling continued. Many people fled into the distance. Some even left the palace completely and ran into the passage to take refuge. Countless gazes looked at the sky. Although they couldn't see anything now, they still stared at it, unwilling to let it go. Finally, the smoke dissipated. Everything was revealed. It appeared. Look, everyone held their breaths, but soon they were stunned. In the sky, the two figures' faces were incomparably pale without a trace of blood. However, upon closer inspection, they were completely different. Although Lin Xian's face was pale and his aura was chaotic, he still stood there. The dragon-shaped sword shadow in his hand was also constantly roaring. On the other side, Zhanji was different. The blood-red figure behind her gradually dissipated. In the end, it shattered into countless fragments and fused into her body. As for her, she vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Her body was slashed open, almost split into two halves. What? Zhanji was actually defeated. The bloodline phantom had been directly slain. How was that possible? Everyone was stunned and couldn't believe it. At this moment, the saints' and saintesses' minds went blank. Even Yi Wu Dao Wu Hua, the Alcade sage, the great Xia prince, and the others were shocked. To be honest, they were all worried that Lin Xian might not be able to resist the ancestor's phantom. After all, they had a deep understanding of the ancestor's phantom. However, things went beyond their expectations. The one who was defeated was not Lin Xian, but Zhanji. Not only was Zhanji defeated, but she was also almost killed. Her bloodline phantom was directly shattered. Everyone looked at Lin Xian in horror. They stared at the dragon-shaped sword shadow in his hand, their hearts beating wildly. What was that dragon-shaped sword shadow? Why was it so powerful? Was it the power of the bloodline, or was it something else? Could it be something that belonged to a sage? They didn't know. They wanted to continue observing, but Lin Xian had already absorbed the dragon-shaped sword shadow into his body. He took a step forward and walked forward. In front of him, Zhanji was half kneeling on the ground, blood flowing from her body. She shook her head frantically. Impossible! Damn it, this is impossible. I can't be defeated. How could my ancestors' phantom be shattered? She had gone crazy. Originally, she was full of confidence and thought that she could easily kill her opponent. But now she had been defeated. She had been utterly defeated, and her bloodline phantom had been shattered. This caused her confidence and faith to shatter. She was on the verge of collapse, because her opponent hadn't been lucky. He had completely defeated her in the area she was most confident in. There was nothing more despairing than this feeling. Thud, thud, thud. Lin Xian walked towards Zhanji and said in a deep voice, "The war race's prodigy? Bloodline power? Ancestor phantom? I told you, you can't kill me with this." As he spoke, Lin Xian had already arrived in front of Zhanji. Zhanji raised her head and looked at him with a ferocious expression. "Damn brat, I don't believe it. I was careless this time. Next time, I will definitely kill you with my own hands." "Next time?" Lin Xian sneered. "Do you think there will be a next time? Do you think I will let you go?" "What?" Zhanji's pupils constricted. "You dare to kill me? I am the war race's prodigy!" She screamed crazily. Lin Xian sneered in disdain. Was the war race's prodigy very powerful? Wasn't the Golden Lion King the war race's prodigy? Didn't I kill him all the same? Chapter 2561. Since I have already killed a prodigy of the war race and completely offended them, so what if I kill another one? Speaking of this, Lin Xian's body emitted a terrifying killing intent, causing everyone's bodies to tremble. They were terrified. This was too arrogant and powerful. He actually wanted to kill a prodigy of the war race. However, it made sense. The other party was already at the point where he would fight to the death with the war race. If they didn't kill him now, would they wait for him to return and recover? If it were them, they would probably kill him now. "No, you can't kill me." Zhanji was finally afraid. She knew that the person in front of her couldn't be threatened at all. The other party wasn't afraid of the war race at all. She quickly said, "Let me go, let me go. After I return, I will definitely plead for you. Let the war race stop chasing you. How about we exchange conditions? No need. Just let the war race come and kill me. I want to see if you can kill me or not." Lin Xian shook his head decisively. What a joke, he wasn't a fool. How could he be fooled by the other party's stalling tactic? He wouldn't let the tiger return to the mountain. Buzz. Lin Xian slowly raised the Dragon Abyss ancient sword. "What last words do you have?" "No. Damn it, you can't do this." Zhang Ji screamed crazily. However, the ancient sword slashed down mercilessly. Zhang Ji retreated crazily. At the same time, she shouted, "Save me! As long as you save me, the war race will be endlessly grateful and give you a great opportunity." When these words came out, many people were tempted. For someone like Zhang Ji who had bloodline awakened, she was definitely an important figure of the war race. If they saved her, they would be able to obtain a favor from the war race. With the strength of the war race, this favor was definitely heavy. But now, saving her was a huge risk, because it might directly arouse Lin Xian's killing intent. They didn't have the confidence to fight against Lin Xian. After all, the terrifying ancestor's phantom was destroyed by the other party. Ordinary methods couldn't contend against the other party at all. Pooh! Just as they were hesitating, Lin Xian's Dragon Abyss ancient sword had already slashed down mercilessly. With a poochie sound, the war concubine's body split in half. Blood turned into a sea of blood that surged in the surroundings. It was a kill. Everyone who saw this scene felt their scalps go numb. The other party was too decisive, not giving them any chance to hesitate at all. However, the war concubine was the war race's heaven's pride. She was extremely powerful. Even though her body was split in half, she was still alive. She brought the sea of blood that filled the sky, and the two corpses converged. Soon, her body reassembled. However, his face had become even paler, like a sheet of white paper. She kept panting as she stared viciously at Lin Xian. "Damned brat, I will remember this sword. I will definitely return it." She turned around and fled. "Humph!" Lin Xian sneered. "Stay here." The azure dragon hand reached out and enveloped the entire area. Whong! At the same time, the dragon-shaped sword shadow flew out again, and streaks of dragon-shaped sword chi surged out. The other party definitely had a lot of secret techniques. Ordinary sword chi would probably not be able to kill him completely. It seemed like he still had to use the dragon-shaped sword energy. Sure enough, once the great dragon sword soul appeared, it had the power to destroy everything, causing the war concubine's wounds to be unable to heal in a short period of time. She screamed in fright and used her trump cards crazily. However, all of them were sent flying by the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Finally, another sword slash cut her in half. This time, the war concubine's body could not reassemble at all. The two bodies floated, but she still did not die. Her soul was still intact. Her soul wrapped around the two parts of the corpse and fled in the sky. Fellow Taoists, I will definitely be extremely grateful for saving my life. The peerless powerhouses of my war race are already on their way. As long as we can block him for a while, when the powerhouses of my war race arrive, they will definitely kill him. What? The powerhouses of the war race are here. When these words came out, everyone's eyelids twitched wildly. A war race's heaven's pride was already so powerful. How terrifying would the true powerhouses of the war race be? Thinking of this, the people of Tai Dynasty, 5 Elements Palace, 10,000 Thunder Sacred Land, and the others all moved. They originally had a grudge with Lin Xian. Now that they had saved the war concubine, they could ally with the war race and kill him together, courting death. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He opened the jade gourd and swallowed 2 large drops of spirit liquid again. His strength recovered. At the same time, 3 large drops of spirit liquid floated out and landed on his body, repairing the wounds on his body. Lin Xian quickly recovered. He waved his long sword and sent all the people who had rushed over to help flying. Those who were weak were directly killed with a single slash. Those elders who were stronger were also sent flying while vomiting blood. For a moment, no one dared to approach. With the strength of a single person, he was killing in all directions. This scene was indeed shocking to everyone. The war concubine was killed to the point where she had nowhere to go. Her trump cards were all destroyed. It seemed that she could no longer resist. However, at this moment, rumbling sounds came from afar. Immediately after, countless powerful auras appeared and quickly spread out from the passage. What was going on? Everyone was horrified when they felt this enormous power. This power was too powerful. It was enough to destroy everyone here. Could it be that something had happened in this ancient tomb? Had a powerful formation awakened? Everyone was terrified. However, someone carefully sensed it and screamed, "Elder, it's our elder who's back." It seemed that they had successfully resisted the Big Dipper coffin. As soon as this was said, everyone sensed it. Sure enough, they sensed the auras of their elders. Immediately, they cried out in alarm and heaved a sigh of relief. Great, this ancient tomb was extremely dangerous. Although they were outstanding prodigies, they were still too young. With the elders around, it would be much safer. Among them, the people of 9 firmaments, divine emperor, myriad thunders, sacred land, 5 elements palace, and Tai dynasty screamed crazily, "Elders, come and save us." They had to join forces and save the war concubine. Who dares to attack us? An angry roar sounded. Those elders roared again and again. They thought that something had happened, but before they could arrive, their souls had already investigated. Their gazes were like lightning, piercing through all directions. They saw the situation in the main hall clearly. When they saw the war concubine, they were also extremely surprised. The people of the war tribe had also come. However, when they saw the entire scene, clearly they were indeed stunned. The prodigies of the war tribe were being hunted down. Heavens, who was this? Did they not want to live anymore? Damn it, it was that kid again. The elders of 5 elements palace, Tai dynasty and myriad thunder sacred land gnashed their teeth. They discovered that the person who was chasing after the war concubine was none other than Lin Xian. Sensing this matter, everyone frowned. The Yi family and Gu family were also extremely surprised. In Immortal Palace, Elderly and the others also had their eyelids twitching. Chapter 2562. The palace master was too heaven-defying. He even dared to kill a prodigy of the war tribe? Attack! The elders of the Tai dynasty and the 5 Elements palace roared and increased their speed. They had to save Zhanji. Not good, hurry up. Elderly and the others also increased their speed. These elders were all peerless powerhouses. They flew at full speed and arrived at the main hall in the blink of an eye. In an instant, countless energy blasted into the sky, blasting away the sword chi that filled the sky. They firmly protected Zhanji. Damn brat! How dare he kill a prodigy of the war tribe? Kneel down and accept your death. You won't live. Cold shouts came one after another. Elder Li and the others instantly returned to Lin Xian's side and activated magic arsenal. Countless top-notch puppets protected Lin Xian as well. Great, they were saved. Zhanji was relieved to be protected by so many people. Her body temporarily fused together. However, if one looked closely, there was a small sword mark in the middle that could not be completely fused. In other words, she was very weak now. Although she was not dead, she did not have much fighting strength left. It was already good that she could survive. When they returned to the war tribe, They would ask their elders to destroy the sword chi. Only then would she be able to recover. She stared at Lin Xian. She swore that when she returned, she would definitely take revenge. She wanted to capture him and let him taste the feeling of living a life worse than death. No one could provoke her, and no one could provoke the war tribe. Thank you, fellow Taoists and seniors, for your help. Our war clan will remember this favor, Zhang Ji hurriedly said. Now that the elders of the sacred grounds were her support, she had to rope them in. Hearing Zhang Ji's words, the elders of the sacred grounds breathed a sigh of relief. They also hoped to join forces with the war tribe. Therefore, both sides had reached a consensus. Do you think you can save her? Seeing this, Lin Xian's lips curled up and he sneered. The surrounding people frowned. What? Could it be that this brat wanted to start a war with so many sacred grounds? This was not a battle between the younger generation. With so many elders, even if the other party had so many puppets, if they were to fight, it would probably not be enough. After all, no matter how powerful Immortal Palace was, it was still only a Holy Land level power. Meanwhile, the other side had 5 or 6 Holy Lands joining hands. The gap between them was too obvious. Hearing this, Zhang Ji's heart skipped a beat. The other party's confidence made her feel scared. The elders of the Holy Lands had gloomy expressions. They whispered to Zhang Ji, "Don't worry, with us here, that kid won't hurt you." Then, they looked up into the distance and stared at Lin Xian. "Brat, you're too arrogant and reckless. Who do you think you are? You want to hurt someone in our hands. How naive." I reckon even your Immortal Palace's elders don't have this kind of ability. Not to mention a brat like you. Is that so? You can try. Lin Xian sneered. He quickly formed a seal with his palms and a golden light flashed in his eyes. Wang. The void trembled as a pair of golden eyes appeared in the sky, looking down with incomparable coldness, as if they were the eyes of a god. Crack! Being looked down by these eyes, the martial artists below trembled and felt their scalps go numb. Even the holy sons and holy daughters felt their hearts skip a beat. It was as if everything about them had been seen through by this pair of mysterious eyes. The elders of 5 Elements Palace and 10,000 Thunder Holy Land also had gloomy expressions. They stared up and shouted coldly, "Not good. It's that kid's eye technique. It's a soul attack. Everyone defend. We can't let him succeed." These people were extremely nervous. They knew that Lin Xian had an extremely terrifying eye technique and soul attack that was impossible to guard against. They had to be careful. Boom! 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 These Holy Land elders were rich and had many trump cards. In an instant, they took out one soul defensive treasure after another and floated in the sky. They enveloped them and completely protected Zhang Ji. Zhang Ji also took out an ancient mirror and floated above her head. She sneered. "I thought it was some special method, but it turns out to be a soul attack. Useless brat, you can't break through so many soul defensive treasures." If it was any other attack or a dragon-shaped sword shadow, Zhang Ji might be afraid. However, she wasn't afraid of a soul attack. Buzz! Lin Xian didn't say anything. He waved his hand and launched a soul attack. In the sky, the cold ice spun rapidly. Golden runes flickered and jumped. A terrifying power surged out between heaven and earth. When the surrounding martial artists felt this power, their expressions changed and they all retreated. They also took out treasures to defend their souls. As for the area where the elders were protecting Zhang Ji, it was completely broken. The sky trembled as the soul defensive treasures trembled. Clearly, they had suffered a powerful soul attack. Crack! 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 In an instant, 3 treasures cracked from the middle and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, the elders were shocked. What a powerful and terrifying soul attack! Indeed, the other party's soul attack was too powerful. Even Zhang Ji was alarmed. But so what? This time, with so many elders working together, It was impossible for the other party to break through the defense. Sure enough, after another 3 treasures were broken, they were finally able to resist. Ha ha! Ha 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 ha! The elders all laughed. Kid, your methods are only so-so. What other trump cards do you have? Go ahead and use them. The elders all sneered. Zhang Ji heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian saw this scene and wasn't surprised. After all, there were so many of them. It would be strange if he could really break through, he said in a deep voice. I don't know what you old guys have to be proud of. You have more than a dozen elders. Yet you don't have the confidence to resist my soul attack? Or are you afraid of my soul attack from the bottom of your hearts? It seems that you elders are only SOO. I think that in a one-on-one battle, I can instantly kill your souls. Nonsense. Bullshit. How dare you? Kid, you are too arrogant. The elders all roared. They should have been happy that they had blocked Lin Xian's soul attack. However, being mocked by the other party made them so angry that they vomited blood. The others were shocked. Thinking about it, it made sense. More than a dozen elders had used so many treasures to block the other party's soul attack. Moreover, 6 of the treasures had been broken. If it was a one-on-one battle, the elders probably wouldn't be able to resist. Ignore this kid. Our goal is to protect Zhang Ji. Everything else has nothing to do with us. The elder of the Tai Dynasty said in a deep voice. The elders of the other holy lands also calmed down. They took a deep breath, and a cold light bloomed in their eyes. Humph! Let this kid be proud for a while. When the war tribe's experts come, we will kill him. Chapter 2563. Kid, what other tricks do you have? Use them. I want to see how you'll kill in our hands. In the distance, the elders of the sacred ground sneered. Ah! A scream suddenly sounded, causing everyone's scalps to go numb. Damn it, who's screaming? These people looked around, thinking that something had happened in the ancient tomb. But soon they were stunned, because they found out. The scream came from the sky. Moreover, it came from behind the elders of the sacred grounds. Behind those elders was the war concubine. Why was she screaming? What happened? No one knew. They hurriedly looked over. Those elders were also stunned. The smiles on their faces froze. They suddenly turned around, their eyes like divine rainbows. Damn it! How did the other party do it? They hurriedly investigated and then gasped. The war concubine was surrounded by so many elders, but she was still rolling on the ground and screaming. Black bugs were crawling all over her body. What are those? Get lost. The elder of the Tai Dynasty snorted coldly. With a wave of his palm, countless gusts of wind and light enveloped the bugs, wanting to blast them away. However, the bugs did not move at all. They did not dodge at all. Instead, they drilled into the war concubine's body like crazy. They're fine? How is that possible? When the elders saw this scene, they were all stunned. They were peerless powerhouses. That attack would have split an ordinary mighty figure into pieces, but the bugs did not die. How is that possible? Oh no, it's those bugs. They're bugs made of dark night gold. In the distance, a young warrior exclaimed. They had seen Lin Xian use this method before. However, back then, Lin Xian had only used 5 bugs. Right now, there are probably over 100 of them. Where did the other party get so many black bugs? Oh no, damn it, how did this kid do it? These elders acted as if they had gone crazy and quickly attacked. They entered the war concubine's body, wanting to force the bugs out. At the same time, they protected the war concubine's soul to prevent her from being completely destroyed. However, they still underestimated the black bugs. These insects were very hard. Furthermore, they were refined by a saint. It was very strange. The moment it entered the Zhang Ji's body, it began to frantically destroy her life force. Soon, the Zhang Ji's body was completely shattered. As for the Zhang Ji, She simply did not have the ability to recover. Blood dyed the sky red, dripping down, directly shattering the void, countless cracks appearing. This was blood that contained the power of the bloodline. It was extremely terrifying. When the bugs crawled toward Zhangji's head, Zhangji could not help but scream. A blood-red rune appeared between her eyebrows, and a violent force rushed out. With a bang, all the insects were sent flying. Not only that, but the elders guarding Zhangji were also sent flying. A few of them who were close by had half of their bodies blasted into a bloody mist. The remaining ones also coughed out mouthfuls of blood as they looked ahead in terror. The Zhangji's body cracked open, leaving only her head intact. At that moment, a figure appeared above her head, an incomparably radiant figure. Was this the phantom of the ancestors? Everyone exclaimed. An elder shook his head. No, it was not the power of the bloodline. It was a soul imprint left in the Zhangji's body by an expert of the war tribe. It should have been used to protect the Zhangji's life at the most critical moment. After all, a peerless genius like the Zhangji had the atavistic bloodline. The expert of the war tribe definitely had a way to prevent her from being killed. The Yi family's elder also had a solemn expression. Looking at the aura of the imprint, it should have been left behind by an invincible king. An invincible king. Everyone was shocked. In the era where saints did not appear, no one was a match for an invincible king. The elders of the Tai dynasty and the Five Elements Palace were quickly covered by the light and then recovered. Although they were angry before, when they saw the invincible king imprint, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Great, even without their protection, the Zhangji should be fine. The Zhangji also heaved a sigh of relief. She had finally triggered the last defense in her body. However, the last defense was also the most powerful one. Once this phantom appeared, no one present would be able to threaten her. Thinking of this, she turned her head and stared at Lin Xian. Brat, you caused me to be so seriously injured. I will definitely tear you into pieces. Elder, kill him. You must kill him. The Zhangji screamed crazily. In the sky, the blurry figure silently turned his head and stared at Lin Xian. Immediately, Lin Xian's body tensed up. He felt the surrounding air condense as if a pair of invisible hands were crushing him. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The sword and dragon roar in his body sounded, completely destroying the pressure. He looked at the sky and frowned. He did not expect that there would be such a thing in the Zhangji's body. You dare to harm a genius of the war tribe? Die! The blurry figure's voice was cold. With a point of his finger, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. This finger was too shocking. It was enough to kill a peerless powerhouse. Lin Xian's pupils constricted, and he instantly disappeared on the spot. This time, the speed was too fast, and it had locked onto him. Even if he changed his position, he would not be able to dodge. Humph! Xing Tian roared angrily. He opened his mouth and spat out a hammer that swept forward. Boom! The light emitted from it struck the terrifying finger light and sent it flying. Bang! 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 The void rumbled continuously. A part of the sky was completely destroyed. Everyone was shocked. Firstly, the mysterious figure's strength was too strong, making them unable to resist. Secondly, they were even more shocked by Immortal Palace. Immortal Palace actually had a way to resist. What did the other party use? Young master, are you all right? Xing Tian stood out. There was a glowing hammer on his head that kept rising and falling. He asked with concern. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief and shook his head. Elder Li and the others also walked up. Palace master, leave the rest to us. All right. Lin Xian nodded and retreated. Indeed, the strength of an invincible king had already exceeded his current range. He would leave it to Xing Tian and the others to deal with. Damn it, how is this possible? The Zhanji looked at this scene with a face full of disappointment. She originally thought that she could kill the other party with this attack, but she did not expect the other party to escape again. The other elders were also shocked. They stared at the hammer above Xing Tian's head. In the sky, the blurry figure was also surprised. He did not expect that someone could block his attack. Buzz. He also lowered his head and looked at Xing Tian. When he saw the hammer above Xing Tian's head, he cried out in surprise. Sky Splitter Hammer. No, it should be a replica. I didn't expect you to have such a treasure. Chapter 2564. However, you are too weak. If it was an invincible king holding it, it might be a threat to me. But you are not qualified. The blurry silhouette was extremely confident. He looked around disdainfully. Although it was only a wisp of remnant soul imprint, it was still left behind by an invincible king. It could definitely crush any peerless almighty. Now you can die. The blurry silhouette pointed its finger again. Soul-destroying finger. With a pointed finger, both body and soul were destroyed. Seeing the other party attack again, Xing Tian roared angrily and used all his strength to activate the sky-splitting hammer above his head to collide with it. Although the sky-splitting hammer was not big, each strike was incomparably powerful. Bang! 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 An intense collision sounded, and the last finger light shattered. However, Xing Tian also retreated. The blood in his body churned, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. But this was already very shocking. One had to know that that was the imprint of an invincible king. It could easily kill a peerless almighty. However, the other party was actually able to block it. It was indeed shocking. The hazy and blurry figure was also an accident. This time, his face completely darkened. With a palm strike, everything was destroyed. This time, Xing Tian really couldn't fight back. Buzz. Elder Li at the side made his move. With a wave of his hand, he took out a golden decree and quickly opened it. Buzz! Buzz! When the golden decree was opened by a third, countless runes quickly flickered, turning into a light sword in the sky and slashing out. Boom! The terrifying palm was sent flying. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Countless large cracks spread out. The surrounding people were also sent flying. Damn it, what was this thing? It was actually so terrifying. It actually sent the palm of the light figure flying. These people were all crazy. The elders were also shocked. Zhanji also did not dare to believe it. What was the origin of this immortal palace? How could it contend against the powerhouses of their war race? It was just the imprint of an invincible king. What was there to be arrogant about? Even if it was a true invincible king, we would dare to kill him. Elder Li's voice was cold. He opened the golden decree again. When he opened it halfway, runes flashed in the sky, forming a sharp light. When this light appeared, everyone's hearts jumped, and they all felt the threat of death. Even the people from the Yi clan, the Gu clan, and the Wavering Light, sacred land were the same. It was as if they were facing a great enemy. But fortunately, this light was not directed at them. An earth-shattering sound rang out, accompanied by angry roars. This voice was formed by the silhouette of the invincible king. It was obvious that he had also suffered a violent impact. Ah, damn it. You actually dared to kill my clone. Just you wait. I will never forgive you. If you dare to kill my Battle Clan's people, no one in this world will forgive you. A cold voice rang out as the hazy silhouette completely disappeared into the void. He disappeared. Could it be that he was killed? Everyone was shocked, not daring to believe it. Even the clone imprint of an unmatched king was killed. This immortal palace was just too terrifying, right? The Zhanji began to tremble. Her face was filled with despair, and her eyes had lost their luster. Her final trump card had also been destroyed by her opponent. Could it be that she was really going to die here today? Whoa. Sure enough, Lin Xian raised his hand and flicked out a sharp sword wave, directly blasting apart the Zhanji's final head. Bloody mist filled the sky. The Zhanji's soul was also blasted apart. This time, she was completely killed. Everyone was completely stunned. They did not expect that after the 5 elements Saint Sun, 10,000 Thunder Saint Sun, and 9 Firmament Saint Sun, another exceptional genius would be killed. Moreover, this person's identity was even more terrifying. It was the Battle Clan's genius. This was definitely a huge shock. The Battle Clan would definitely not let Lin Xian and Immortal Palace's people go. Humph! Lin Xian coldly snorted. He did not care at all. This was not the first time he killed the Battle Clan's genius. He had long had an irreconcilable hatred with the Battle Clan, so killing another one now was not a big deal. In the next moment, he stared at the elders of Tai Dynasty and 5 Elements Palace, and asked coldly, "What? You want to attack again?" Those elders' eyelids twitched crazily as they quickly retreated. Everyone was stunned by this scene. A young man scared so many elders away with a single sentence. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. Those elders retreated to the back and stopped. Their faces were incomparably gloomy, although they were furious and wanted to chop the kid in front of them into 8 pieces. However, they could not do it at all. The other party actually had a killing weapon that could instantly kill an invincible king's clone. This made their hair stand on end. Seeing those elders retreat and not dare to fight again, Lin Xian sneered. He raised his head and stared at the sky again. In the distance, the Bloodwing Bat King was fighting with the Middle Ground Twin Kings. The Middle Ground Twin Kings were about to cry. He did not expect the Zhanji to be killed. Even the Invincible King's clone imprint was destroyed, especially now when he felt Lin Xian's gaze on him again. He was scared out of his wits. Ah! He roared angrily and directly burned his power. He quickly escaped. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian waved his sword, and a huge sword light enveloped the Middle Ground Twin Kings. Pooh! The other party screamed miserably, leaving behind a trail of blood. Ah! The Middle Ground Twin King's body was split in half. This time, the good and evil were really split in half. This scene caused everyone to be alarmed. The Middle Ground Twin Kings screamed crazily. He did not stop, nor did he fight back. Instead, he used his secret technique without caring about the consequences. He disappeared into the sky. Humph! Lin Xian did not chase after him. The sword just now contained the power of the great dragon's sword soul. That sword chi was not easy to erase. It was likely that the other party would not be able to recover in a short period of time. Moreover, the twin kings of the central prefecture were no longer a threat to him. There was no need for him to kill the other party with great fanfare. It was better to explore this strange ancient tomb first. He had a feeling that the ancient tomb below and the ancient tomb above were different. It seemed to be 2 tombs, but he was not sure. Seeing that the battle had ended, the elders of the Yi family and Gu family gathered together and began to discuss. Although they had just arrived here, they also frowned according to the young warrior's description. Are you saying that there are many things of the monster clan in this ancient tomb? The ancient tomb of the monster clan? How is that possible? After hearing this, the elders who came later frowned. Elder Li and the others' eyes flickered. The Crimson Dragon said, I heard that in the past, the saint's ancient tomb would not be built. Some would even build many fake ancient tombs to confuse the later generations. The real tomb is hidden in a place that no one knows about. Do you think that the ancient tomb above is a fake one? The real ancient tomb is the one we're in now. If it weren't for a coincidence, I'm afraid that we wouldn't have been able to reach the bottom. Hearing the Crimson Dragon's words, many people were enlightened. Xing Tian, Elder Li, and the others nodded slightly. There was indeed such a saying. In ancient times, many people did this. However, there was one point that did not make sense. Why were the two tombs above and below completely different in style? One was a human, and the other was a monster. Was this the ancient tomb of the human clan or the monster clan? Chapter 2565. These people didn't know, so they decided to go together to investigate. After walking for about a day, they gradually slowed down. A cave appeared in front of them. It was surrounded by vines that were very thick, like dragons. The leaves on them were incomparably green and shone with a cold light. Everyone be careful. Seeing that it was no longer a palace, the elders hurriedly reminded them. Everyone put up their defenses and walked inside. The group entered the cave and found that there was a passage inside. They continued to walk forward. Not long after, a scream sounded. What's going on? Everyone turned around and found that the person was entangled by the vines. Damn it, there's something wrong with the vines. Seeing this scene, the surrounding cultivators roared and attacked the vines crazily. However, in the next moment, their attacks were pierced through, and everyone was entangled by the vines. Even Lin Xian and the others were entangled by the vines. Get lost! Yi Dao Denier roared and punched the vines, causing countless cracks to appear. However, the vines didn't break and still firmly entangled Yi Dao Denier. It can't be, right? What is this valiant vine? How can they withstand the attack of a saint physique? Seeing this, Lin Xian frowned. With a wave of his finger, a biting cold sword light clashed with the vines around him. Clang! 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 Sparks flew from the vines. However, only faint white marks were left. They weren't cut off at all. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian gasped. How is this possible? How terrifying is his sword qi? It can even kill a peerless almighty. However, the vines were unharmed. What the hell is this? Whoosh! Just as everyone was about to fight back, the vines moved. They pulled Lin Xian, Yi Dao Denier, Murong Qingcheng, and the others forward quickly. Bang! Bang! Everyone slammed into the wall and the ground, their blood boiling. Fortunately, they had put up their armor. Otherwise, some of them would have been blown apart. The people from Fei Imperial Palace were also affected. This shocked the powerhouses of Fei Imperial Palace. Damn it, the purple cloud vine. Wasn't this supposed to be extinct? How could it appear here? The purple cloud demonic vine was an extremely terrifying vine. Aside from its powerful defense, what was even more terrifying was that it could absorb energy limitlessly, enough to turn thousands of miles of land into ashes. These demonic vines, as a mutated species of heaven and earth, were rare to begin with. Once in ancient times, there was a demonic soaring calamity that caused countless countries to be annihilated. Finally, the supreme experts were enraged. They joined forces and finally killed all of the demonic vines. From then on, there was no more purple cloud, demonic vine in the true spirit world. Who would have thought that the purple cloud, demonic vine would appear in this tomb? Furthermore, looking at how hard it was, who knew how many years it had been growing? But I'm afraid it's already grown. Damn it, is this purple cloud devil totem trying to suck us dry and turn us into its raw materials? The martial artists of the demon Imperial Palace roared. When these words were spoken, everyone was alarmed. They had also heard of the legend of the purple cloud demonic vine, but they hadn't expected to see it in person. No, I have to fight back. Angry roars came one after another. Lin Xian and the rest fought back with all their might, preparing to chop off these demonic vines and escape. However, they chopped for a day and night, but they couldn't cut it off. And during this day and night, the purple cloud demonic vine pulled them and continued to move forward at lightning speed. During this period, many people were knocked unconscious. The remaining people were also dizzy, their blood roiling. Finally, after a day and night, the purple cloud demonic vine's speed slowed down. After about another half a day, Everyone felt that they were completely pulled out of the passage. It was no longer dark before their eyes, but there was light, blinding everyone to the point that they couldn't open their eyes. Lin Xian and the rest felt their bodies become light, as if there was no ground below them anymore. They were hung in midair. Lin Xian opened his eyes, golden light revolving around his eyes. He saw the surrounding scenery clearly. This was an extremely huge cave. There were countless holes around it, all passageways. All of the passageways led inside. There was no way out. Could it be that this was the final burial place? Lin Xian was shocked. He looked up and found that there was a huge vine in the sky, covering the entire valley in all directions. It was so tall that he couldn't see the top, as if there was no end. As for them, they were suspended in the air by these vines. The others also saw this scene and exclaimed in shock. Heavens, such a huge, purple cloud, demonic vine. How many thousands of years did it grow? They were going crazy. They had never seen such a huge demonic vine. Those from the Demon Imperial Palace were scared out of their wits. Hu Tiandu and Yan Ryu both frowned. Purple cloud, demonic vine. 3,000 years of seedling, 3,000 years of small maturity, and 3,000 years of major maturity. Even if it wasn't major maturity, it was at least 7,000 to 8,000 years old. Damn it! How could there be such a terrifying thing here? They were indeed shocked. Even invincible kings could only live for a few thousand years. Saints could live for a few thousand years. Emperors could live for 10 to 20,000 years at most. A 7,000 to 8,000-year-old demonic vine was definitely enough to shock these people. However, the elders from the sacred grounds started to frown. No way this ancient tomb had existed for 30 to 40,000 years. How could it be that the purple cloud demonic vine had only grown for 7,000 to 8,000 years? The time didn't match? They were extremely confused. Perhaps there was only one explanation, and that was when the ancient tomb was formed, there was no purple cloud demonic vine. It was only in the last 7,000 to 8,000 years that the purple cloud demonic vine began to grow. Yan Ryu said in a low voice. After all, the purple cloud demonic vine no longer existed in the true spirit world. It wasn't easy for this vine to grow. Perhaps everyone could accept this explanation. But who planted it? Why was it planted here? Was it to protect the ancient tomb? They didn't know. Look, there's someone there. One of them exclaimed and pointed below. Everyone looked over and exclaimed in surprise. It turned out that they were too focused on the purple cloud demonic vine and didn't see the two figures standing below. Although everyone was suspended in midair and unable to fly over, their souls were still probing downwards from all directions. In an instant, they found out who the two people were. From the looks of it, it was a man and a woman. The woman was dressed in white, her black hair reaching her waist, and her face was extremely beautiful. She stood there with her eyes closed as if she was asleep. Beside her was a man in bronze armor. He looked valiant and extraordinary. However, he was wearing a bronze mask on his face. In his hand was a small bronze box, which he held tightly. Everyone carefully looked at the bronze man. Ah! They were startled, and many of them screamed. Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He discovered that the eyes of the man in bronze armor were actually open. A pair of jade-green eyes flickered with a cold light, as if watching Lin Xian and the others. Chapter 2566. The eyes of the man in bronze armor were actually open. A pair of green eyes flickered with a cold light, seemingly watching Lin Xian and the others. This gaze made people's hair stand on end, as if this bronze man was alive. Many people were so scared that they withdrew their souls. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He could feel that these two people were cold and had no soul fluctuations. Obviously, they had been dead for a long time. The other saints also discovered this scene. They heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they were already dead. If they were alive, they would probably be some powerful guardian. If they attacked them, it would be difficult for them to resist in their current state. No, they had to find a way to escape. Otherwise, they would end up very miserably. Many people's faces were gloomy. They found that not only were they hanging on the vines, but there were also some bones hanging on them. They were not even complete skeletons. Some only had a little left. Obviously, countless years ago, many people had come here, but they were all tightly entangled by these vines. Humph! Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a cold light. The great dragon's sword soul roared, and a sharp sword light gushed out. This time, Lin Xian did not hold back. Clang! The sword slashed on it, making an earth-shattering sound. Boom! Finally, the vine wrapped around Lin Xian broke, and Lin Xian fell down. His figure flickered, and he appeared in the void. When the others saw this scene, they did not hold back and used their trump cards one after another. Those saints, saintesses, and elders all used their trump cards to leave. However, those ordinary disciples were not so lucky. They could not open it at all. Ah! Bang! A martial artist of the divine Wind dynasty roared and directly slashed at his own leg. Bang! One of his legs exploded and his body fell below. Soon, he hurriedly fled to a safe place. His body flickered with light again, and this time a new leg was formed. Although this method was self-mutilating and cruel to oneself, it was their only chance to survive. With this method, a broken leg could be recovered in an instant. Therefore, when the others saw the scene, they followed suit. In the sky, countless bloody mist surged. Everyone had left the purple cloud demonic soaring. Everyone looked at the purple cloud demonic soar with lingering fear. They were only escaping from the binding of the vines. The purple cloud demonic totem hadn't attacked them yet. Their endings would be even more tragic. The purple cloud demonic totem was growing here, and it seemed like this was the final resting place. An elder said in a deep voice. The others gasped. Could it be that the sage's body was buried here? They were so shocked that they didn't even dare to move around. They couldn't even defeat the corpses of invincible kings, let alone the corpses of saints. They probably wouldn't be able to withstand even a wisp of saint might. We don't need to touch the saint's body. Let's see if there are any treasures in other places. These people searched in all directions, but soon they frowned. The reason for that was because there was nothing there. It was inferior to the amount of treasures in the palaces they had encountered earlier. Previously, in the palaces, Lin Xian and the others had obtained a lot of treasures. There were tens of thousands of Earth-grade artifacts, tens of thousands of bottles of pills, and mountains of materials. There were only so many things in the palaces. This made them think that the final resting place would be 10 times or 100 times richer than before. However, that was not the case in reality. The surroundings were empty. Other than the huge vines and endless caves, there was nothing else. If there was anything, it would be the two figures standing under the vines. However, these two people were obviously guardians, so they didn't dare to touch them. No, look at the bronze man. He's holding a bronze box in his hand. Could it be that there was some treasure in the box? Many people finally stared at the bronze box. Their eyes flickered, wanting to see it clearly. However, with their current strength, they couldn't see through it. There should be no doubt that it was a treasure. The final resting place definitely had treasures. Although there weren't many of them, perhaps one could compare to all of their previous gains. That was indeed the case. Treasures couldn't be judged by quantity. If there was a sage artifact inside, it would definitely be comparable to all the other treasures in the entire ancient tomb. After some discussion, everyone decided to make a move. Although they knew that it might be dangerous, they were already here. If they were to leave without giving it a try, these people would definitely not be willing. Wang, an elder of the Taishan Holy Land, made a move. His palm was incomparably blue, like a starry sky, enveloping the area below. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, he arrived above the bronze man's head. His large hand did not fall, but countless stars revolved around him, forming strands of light that hung downwards. It swept towards the bronze box in the bronze man's hand. Their goal was only the bronze treasure box. As for the other items, they would try their best not to touch them. 1. All the light attacks disappeared as they neared the bronze treasure box, as if they were swallowed by a black hole, without a trace. Seeing this, the people of the Taishan Holy Land frowned. "Let me do it." An elder of the Yin-Yang sect stepped forward. With a wave of his hand, the Yin-Yang diagram above his head flew out. Not only the Yin-Yang sect, but the 5 Elemental Palace, Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground, for symbol Sacred Ground, and Dayan Sacred Ground were also present. At this moment, all of the Holy Land families made their moves. After all, there was only one treasure box. It would belong to whoever managed to snatch it. 1. All the attacks were blocked when they neared the bronze treasure box, as if there was an invisible force. "Humph, you're already dead, and you still want to compete with us?" The elder of the Yin-Yang sect sneered and made his move again. The others did the same. On Lin Xian's side, Elder Li, Xing Tian, and the others also made their moves. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky full of light, 2 figures stood there unaffected. At this moment, the man in the bronze armor suddenly raised his head. He slowly raised his head, and a cracking sound could be heard. 1. A strange light burst out from his green eyes. Not good. Seeing this, everyone's hearts skipped a beat. How could the man's head move? Could it be that he was still alive and not dead? Just as this thought appeared in their minds, a terrifying light rushed out of the bronze man's body, turning into hundreds of sharp sword lights that pierced in all directions. Each ray of light turned into a sword light and combined with each other, forming a peerless killing formation. In an instant, the attacks in the sky were shattered, and these people were all sent flying. Many of them were directly pierced through and nailed to death in the void. Bang, bang, bang. Intense collisions sounded, and miserable screams were heard. The sky was filled with snow. Everyone's expression changed. Damn it, he was not dead. He was still alive. Chapter 2567. Impossible. How could he still be alive after tens of thousands of years? Even great emperors could not live for so long. He was definitely not alive. Perhaps he had been refined into a puppet, or perhaps there were other reasons. The elders of the Yi and Gu families had deep looks in their eyes. They did not believe that someone could live for so long. Crack, crack, crack. After the light burst out from his body, the bronze armored man's body shook and crackled. Finally, he recovered. The green light in his eyes turned into hundreds of long rainbows that swept across the sky. Crack, crack. The bronze box in his hand was pressed against the armor in front of him, becoming one with the armor. It was stuck there. It seemed that if they did not defeat the bronze armored man, it would be difficult to obtain the bronze box. Humph. It's just a puppet guardian. It's not like I haven't killed one before. The elder of the Dayan Sacred Land shouted coldly. The elder of the Tao East Sacred Land also focused his gaze. At this moment, everyone's aura was majestic. Their opponent was just a bronze armored man, and they had so many elders and peerless geniuses. Why would they be afraid of him? Kill! With a roar, everyone attacked like crazy. Runes appeared on the bronze armored man's body one after another, instantly covering the entire space. The aura on his body also burst out suddenly, fighting against the energy that filled the sky. At this moment, he seemed to have transformed into a bronze god of war. Whoosh! His figure swayed, and the bronze armored man flew into the sky. At the same time, his doppelgangers and afterimages appeared in the sky. These doppelgangers did not disappear. Instead, They let out a long roar and fought with the elders and saints. Damn it, there are so many doppelgangers. The expressions of the elders changed. They did not expect the other party to be so powerful. Combination formation. Don't be careless. Roars could be heard as the elders of the sacred lands formed their own powerful formations to defend against the doppelgangers. However, the top elders, saints, and saintesses were fighting on their own. They were powerful and did not fear the doppelgangers. Boom! Lin Xian swept his sword, and the 3 doppelgangers that were close to him were instantly killed. Boom! Boom! Murong Qingqing yelled as countless flower petals revolved around her. At the same time, she took out a fan that was as red as gold. With a light wave, the cry of a phoenix could be heard. A phoenix projection streaked across the sky, sending all of the clones flying. Phoenix wing gilded fan. Many people in the surroundings exclaimed in surprise. This was the Jade Lake's most precious treasure, yet it was given to the Jade Lake Saint. Clang! A heaven-shaking, earth-shattering sound rang out, and Leif Daudenier's body began to glow with golden light, making him look like a golden war god. A pair of fists opened and closed, sweeping in all directions with the power to swallow mountains and rivers. No flower pinched a seal with his fingers, and the Buddhist light behind him was equally powerful. The Yaoguang Saint, the prince of the great Xia dynasty, the Dao Yi Saint, and the saintess of all beginnings. At this moment, all the saints and saintesses displayed extremely powerful combat abilities and fought against the countless doppelgangers in the sky. In the end, all of the clones were destroyed. Humph, just a mere guardian. You want to stop our footsteps? What a joke! Kill him and snatch the bronze box. A group of people charged forward. Among them, the elders of the 5 Elemental Palace, the Yin-Yang sect, and the Myriad Calamity Hall were the fastest. They arrived beside the bronze man in an instant. Their hands carried supreme divine power as they grabbed the treasure box on the bronze armor. Crack! Bang! Ah! Screams rang out as the elders of the 3 holy lands flew back. Their arms had been mercilessly torn off. Among them, the elder of the Yin-Yang sect was pierced by a palm, and a terrifying bloody hole appeared. All of his internal organs had been shattered. Ah! These people screamed and retreated madly. The others also stopped in midair and looked down in bewilderment. **, this bronze guardian is too strong. Just as everyone was in shock, the bronze guardian in front of them emitted a strange light again. He stretched out his hand, and it instantly enlarged like a blue sky, covering the entire sky. Then it descended. The bronze hand was so big that it covered the sky and the sun. There was no way for anyone to escape. They could only resist crazily. Humph! You're courting death. How dare you fight against so many of us alone? Attack! The elder of the Yi family snorted coldly. The other party was powerful and stronger than them. No one was a match for him alone. However, with so many of them working together, the other party could not resist at all. The others also attacked crazily. However, vortexes appeared one after another on the bronze hand. There seemed to be strange runes flashing in the vortexes. Oh no! Damn it, what's going on? Screams rang out one after another. Lin Xian was also very surprised. Lin Xian's pupils constricted because he saw a terrifying scene. His body was actually gradually becoming smaller. Not only him, but everyone's bodies were shrinking. It was as if they were turning into ants. Damn it, what kind of divine power is this? They had never seen it before. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light. Could it be an illusion? He suspected that it might be an illusion. He looked around and found that it was not an illusion. Their bodies had really shrunk. Ah! Everyone screamed. They attacked crazily, shattering the void around them. However, they could not stop their bodies from shrinking. The giant green hand in the sky pressed down mercilessly. Oh no! Their faces turned green. If they were hit by this palm, they would definitely be finished. Now they had become infinitely small, and their strength was suppressed. Lin Xian roared furiously as well, his body rumbling and roaring nonstop. However, there was still a force blocking him. Damn it, could it be the power of the laws? Elder Li and the others were shocked, and their eyelids twitched. Xing Tian shook his head. Impossible. If the other party had the power of the laws, he could kill all of them in an instant. However, other than the power of the laws, I can't think of any other power that could be so powerful. I reckon that even an invincible king would not be able to cause such a change to us. The elders of the Yi family and Gu family also had ugly expressions. Yi, Wu Dao, Gu Santong, and the others also had solemn expressions. It seemed that it should be the fragments of the laws. An elder of the Dao, one holy ground, said in a deep voice. After all, he was the guardian of the saint's tomb. Perhaps some of the laws had been planted in his body. However, after experiencing the merciless passage of time, the laws had become fragments. That was why the situation was like this. Perhaps everyone analyzed the situation, but they were not relaxed. Although they knew what was going on, they could not resist. Elder Li, Xing Tian, transfer all of your power to me. Lin Xian suddenly said. He formed a seal with his palm, and the great dragon's sword soul appeared in front of him. He grabbed it. Elder Li, Xing Tian, and the others from the immortal palace quickly poured in their power. Boom! Boom! The dragon-shaped sword shadow trembled and rumbled, turning into an azure dragon. It kept roaring and growing. Its power was also constantly rising. Chapter 2568. Ka ka ka. The light around them cracked, and their bodies no longer shrank. Seeing this, Elder Li and the others were overjoyed. It was effective. Lin Xian also heaved a sigh of relief. As expected, the dragon sword soul was incomparably terrifying. It could destroy the power of the law fragment. However, with his current strength, he couldn't unleash the full power of the dragon sword soul. He could only borrow the power of others. Seeing this, Mu Rongqing Cheng and Shin Jingqiu also came over with people from the Jade Lake, Sacred Ground, and Purple Afterglow, Sacred Ground. They also poured power into the dragon sword soul. On the other side, Yu Wu Dao took a deep breath and stood up. Everyone, please lend me a hand. At this point, he opened his golden domain. Light bloomed behind him, and a golden giant rapidly rose. It kept growing bigger, as if it was indomitable. Immortal King descends to the 9 heavens. It was an extremely terrifying divine ability of the Yi family. At this moment, Yu Wu Dao was displaying it. It was truly terrifying. However, although this divine ability was powerful, it still couldn't fight against the law fragment. He could only borrow the power of others. The Yi family, Gu family, Dao One Sacred Ground. For symbols Sacred Ground, Dian Sacred Ground, and many other sacred grounds in the surroundings all used their power to support the Immortal King. The Immortal King's phantom became more and more solid. A terrifying battle armor even appeared on his body. The runes on it flickered with supreme power. Yanryu also stood up. Her white clothes fluttered like a fairy. Buzz! Her body was also surrounded by a green light, but it was different from the bronze hand. A terrifying aura rushed out of her body, sweeping through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. This aura was extremely powerful, not at all weaker than Lin Xian's dragon sword soul, or Yi Wudao's immortal king descends to the 9 heavens. When this scene appeared, everyone was extremely shocked. They didn't expect Yanryu to be so terrifying and have such a secret in her body. Fellow Taoists of the human race, let's join forces. The green light on Yanryu's body became more and more intense. When the people of the other sacred grounds and great sects saw this scene, they gritted their teeth and nodded. Indeed, now wasn't the time for internal strife. Many people of the sacred grounds and great sects also flew to Yenryu's side and transmitted their power to her. Kill! With a roar, Lin Xian waved his long sword and slashed forward. The power of this sword was simply too strong. After all, it had gathered the power of countless experts. With a swing of the sword, the world lost its color, the sun and the moon lost their luster, and the entire void was split into two. The strange energy around them was also torn apart in an instant. The bodies of Lin Xian and the others continued to grow bigger, and the bronze hand even let out vibrating sounds. Kill! Leaf Daudenier roared, then unleashed the immortal monarch, descends to the 9 heavens. That golden giant launched an attack, brandishing a terrifying fist, blasting apart the heavenly dome. Kill! Yenryu tenderly shouted. Green light rushed out from her body, turning into a divine rainbow as she shot out. The 3 peerless geniuses had used their strongest trump cards and gathered the strength of all the great sects of the sacred lands. At that moment, their attacks were truly capable of destroying heaven and earth. Boom! Boom! The sound of an intense collision rang out. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Everyone's bodies returned to their original state. From the looks of it, the power brought about by the law fragment had been completely eliminated. Not only that, but the enormous bronze hand also shattered into pieces. Kill! 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 Another 3 roars rang out. Lin Xian, Leaf Daudenier, and Yenryu once again attacked with all their might. This time, they charged towards the Bronze Guardian. Boom! A terrifying power erupted, drowning out everything. The entire world trembled. The purple cloud, demonic vines constantly twisted and spun, protecting the space around them. When the smoke dissipated, Lin Xian's face was pale, while Leaf Daudenier and Yenryu were panting nonstop. This time they had practically been drained of all the energy in their bodies. It wasn't just them. The elders, saints, and saintesses were the same. They didn't dare to hesitate, and quickly took out their treasures. Lin Xian and the others also swallowed the Buddha, Earth Spirit Elixir, to recover their strength. Fortunately, they had obtained a bountiful harvest in the ancient tomb. Therefore, at this moment, they didn't feel any heartache. After swallowing the treasures, their strength quickly recovered. At the same time, they turned their gazes and looked ahead. In front of him, the Bronze Guardian was still split into pieces. The armor on its body was shattered, and the bronze treasure box fell to the ground. Whoosh! When the Yin-Yang sect saw this, they quickly moved. The 4 symbols, sacred grounds, didn't back down either. Scram! The 2 of them attacked in the air, tearing the void apart. Then, the 2 of them kept retreating, cracking the ground. When the others saw this, they also frowned. Seeing this, Lin Xian stood out and said coldly, "Let's stop fighting. Why don't we all open the box together?" Leaf Daudenier also stood out. "I agree with Brother Lin." Yenryu, Wuhua, and the others also nodded. Seeing that the various geniuses had expressed their opinions, the others also fell silent. Indeed, if they continued fighting, rivers of blood would flow. Moreover, this place was extremely dangerous. The white-clothed woman beside them didn't seem to be hurt at all despite being surrounded by such terrifying energy. This shocked them greatly. Therefore, now wasn't the best time to fight. Everybody nodded. Among them, the elders of the Gu clan and the Yi clan, the 2 clans of the remote antiquity, walked out. They were prepared to go and retrieve the bronze treasure box. The 2 clans of the ancients were respected by the other sacred grounds in terms of strength, reputation, and foundation. Therefore, they didn't have any objections to letting the 2 clans of the ancients fight. Lin Xian also didn't have any objections. He knew that the Yi family and Gu family wouldn't take it for themselves. The elders of the Yi family and the Gu family walked forward. They carefully set up a seal and wrapped it around the bronze treasure box. They wanted to return. However, when they saw the bronze-armored guardian that had been torn to pieces, their pupils shrank. The two of them were stunned. What's going on? What happened? The others were puzzled. Many people walked forward. Ah! They also screamed. Whoosh! An elder of the Tao East sacred ground waved his sleeve and blew away the shattered bronze armor. Everyone saw the situation under the armor clearly. What's that? Everyone was shocked because they realized that the thing under the bronze armor wasn't a human. Instead, it was a furry monster with a tail. A demon beast. Everyone exclaimed. The people of the Fey Imperial Palace were even more shocked. It was a fox. Its entire body was green, and there were strange patterns on its fur. Its green eyes were wide open, gradually losing their luster and becoming cold. This guardian was a demon beast. This surprised everyone. Could this really be the ancient tomb of the Fey Imperial Palace? What? Tiandu said with a serious expression. This seemed to be a green hill fox. This was also a mutated species of the world. Moreover, it was a very terrifying species of the Fox clan. Indeed, the other Fey Imperial Palace's experts nodded. There were two royal families of the Fox clan, the Green Hill Fox and the Nine-tailed Fox. They didn't expect this bronze guardian to be a Green Hill Fox. What was the treasure box it was guarding? Could it be a treasure of the Fey Imperial Palace? Chapter 2569. Everyone was puzzled. They looked to the side at the woman in white who was standing there like a statue. Who was this woman in white? Was she a human or a demon? If she was a demon, it meant that there was a high possibility that this was the ancient tomb of a demon saint. But what if she was a human? This made them even more puzzled. A human and a demon guarding this place. What was going on? Everyone couldn't understand. Forget it. Let's not think about it. Let's see what's inside the bronze treasure box first. The Yi family elder and the Gu family elder carefully took the bronze treasure box to the empty space at the side. Everyone gathered around and looked carefully. They opened it to take a look. Many people were tempted. The two elders used their power to forcefully open it, but they couldn't find the root. Let's increase our numbers. Everyone attacked together, but they couldn't break it either. The crimson dragon screamed, "Don't mess around. This thing might explode. If it does, all of us will be finished." Everyone's eyelids twitched when they heard that. No way, don't talk nonsense. How could this thing explode? That's right. There must be a natural treasure inside. Voices of doubt sounded. However, the young disciples' faces were gloomy. Elder, let's listen to it. This snake's attainments in formations were very high. They were the ones who discovered the ancient tomb below. It was also the one who broke it. The young disciples quickly transmitted their voices. After the elders of the sacred ground heard that, their eyelids twitched. They stared at the crimson dragon. The formation masters of the Gu family and the Yi family also walked out. They said in a deep voice, "That's right, we can't act rashly." The runes on it were very dangerous. If it was hit by a strong impact, it might explode. We can't imagine the energy it would release. What should we do? Everyone was disappointed. The top formation master of the Yi family said, "This is normal. No matter how you look at it, there's a treasure buried inside." The previous owner wouldn't have let others open it so easily, nor would he have let others open it with brute force. However, since it was a treasure box, it could be opened if it could be closed. It was just that it would be more troublesome. There were many runes on it. It seemed to be a formation. As long as the formation was opened, the treasure box could be opened. "Rusalong, it's up to you." Lin Xian looked at the crimson dragon. The crimson dragon walked up. Come. Let's break it together." It waved its dragon claws, looking like a leader. Seeing this, the faces of many elders from the Holy Land darkened. They were extremely displeased. but there was nothing he could do about it. Since the other party was a formation expert, he had to listen to them. In the end, the Yi family, the Gu family, and the Crimson Dragon took the lead, along with the array masters from the other Holy Lands. 2 days later, they finally broke through the restrictions on the formation. Crack! A clear and melodious sound rang out as all of the symbols flickered. Everyone held their breaths. Was the treasure box finally going to be opened? What the hell? The Crimson Dragon screamed. Everyone was dumbfounded. *CK, I've been tricked. Indeed, everyone's faces were ugly because the light on the bronze box disappeared. The symbols quickly changed and finally formed a keyhole. *CK, how many layers of seals did this thing have? The Crimson Dragon stomped its feet angrily. After 2 days of cracking, they had only broken the outermost layer of the seal, and the keyhole was just revealed. To open it, they needed a key. Where was the key? The surrounding martial artists raised their heads and looked around. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. It must be in this space, and it shouldn't be too far away. The 4 symbols, Saint frowned. Damn it, could it be that he didn't create a key at all? Why don't we bring it back and study it after leaving the ancient tomb? Many people from the Holy Land had the same idea. Indeed, they had come in large numbers this time, but it wasn't the full strength of the Holy Land. For example, the living fossil and the Supreme Elder didn't come. That kind of person was the scariest. They should have a way to break the bronze box. Crack, crack, crack. A low and deep voice rang out, reaching everyone's ears. Everyone turned their heads. Who was it? Get out here. Angry roars could be heard, but Lin Xian stared at the white figure in the distance. Damn it, it's another guardian. Whoosh! Hearing that, everyone turned their heads and stared at the white figure in the distance. Indeed, the voice came from the other party. The beautiful face of the other party slowly changed. Her small, peach-like mouth slowly opened at this moment. With the previous experience of the Bronze Guardian, these people didn't dare to be careless. They reckoned that the other party might also have a law fragment. Therefore, in an instant, everyone activated their strongest defense and guarded carefully. Golden runes flashed in Lin Xian's eyes. He made the first move, but it didn't seem to be an attack. Kid, what exactly is it? Can you see it clearly? Many people asked anxiously. Lin Xian looked carefully and then said, It seems to be a key. Key? Are you sure it's a key? Everyone was shocked and excited because a possibility arose in their hearts. A keyhole had appeared in the bronze box in their hands, and they only lacked a key to open it. They searched everywhere, but couldn't find it. However, the other guardian had a key. Could it be the key to open the bronze box? It was possible. That's right, it must be so. The young warriors exclaimed. 2 guardians, one holding a treasure box and the other holding a key. That was very reasonable. However, the elders were puzzled. Even if there was a key, why would she expose herself? She was clearly reminding them. Damn it, this was too strange. Could it be that the woman in white was also alive? As soon as those words came out, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. That's right. No one wanted their treasure to be taken away by others. Even those who were dead were no exception. But why would the woman in white take the initiative to hand over the key now? Was this a trap? They didn't know. Lin Gongzi, you're powerful and a top genius. Your soul power is even more terrifying, and you're proficient in formations. Why don't you go and take the key? A flirtatious voice sounded. Hearing those words, Lin Xian was very happy. Someone was actually flattering him in public, which made him feel very good. However, when he heard the last sentence, his face turned green. Damn it, which bastard dared to trick him at this time? His eyes were cold as he looked around. In the end, he locked onto a beauty from the Alcade Holy Land. Damn it, it's that Alcade saintess again. Lin Xian's face was gloomy, and he gritted his teeth. Wasn't it just a little white monkey that ate some of your treasures? Did you have to hit him when he was down? The people from Immortal Palace also had ugly expressions. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu frowned. Among them, Shen Jingqiu stared at the Alcade Saintess and snorted coldly. Damn it, this bad woman. This suggestion is not bad. I think Hall Master Lin is a young genius and can indeed take on this role. The Yin Yang Saint's voice sounded from the Yin Yang sect. Chapter 2570. He had almost been killed by the other party previously. Now that he had a chance to kill the other party, how could he let it go? Anyway, with so many powerful elders from the Yin Yang sect around, he was not afraid of the other party. F***CK. This Yin Yang saint is really courting death. The Crimson Dragon gritted his teeth. He wanted to go up and slap this guy to death. Hall Master Lin's battle strength is unparalleled. A cold voice came from the Tai dynasty. Hall Master Lin, don't back down. This matter belongs to none other than you. That's right, Hall Master Lin. Aren't you curious about what's inside the bronze box? Voices came one after another from the 5 Elements Palace, the 1,000 Thunders Sacred Ground, the 9 Heavens Sacred Ground, the Toba family, and the Nangong family. In short, all the families and sacred grounds that had a grudge against Lin Xian spoke up one after another. The other sacred grounds and sects did not speak up, but they chose to remain silent. Among them, Yi Wudao, Gu Santong Wu Hua, and the others who were close to Lin Xian frowned. They said that this matter was too dangerous and could be a trap. They needed to think about it at length. Yes, they needed to think about it at length. Murong Qingqing also spoke up quickly. She would not let Lin Xian take the risk. Fairy Murong, you're wrong. Hall Master Lin is so powerful. How could he be in danger? That's right. The memory of Hall Master Lin killing so many saints is still fresh in our minds. Now that we're missing the key, it should be easy. Those people were not moved at all. The cold voice and the silent consent of the others made the situation very unfavorable for Lin Xian. The people from the Immortal Palace looked gloomy. Xing Tian, elderly, and the others had murderous looks in their eyes. These people were too despicable. The Crimson Dragon jumped out. F***CK, you shameless people. What's wrong? You can't beat us. So you want to use such a sinister method? You call yourselves geniuses and peerless elders of the sacred grounds. You've really embarrassed yourselves. We're not as good as Hall Master Lin. That's why we let him do such an important thing. The Yin Yang saint sneered. The elders of the 5 Elements Palace also looked ferocious. No matter what the other party said, they had to push him out today. The reason for that was because they knew that this was most likely a trap. It would be best if the law fragment could directly kill this brat, in order to relieve the hatred in their hearts. The Crimson Dragon was so angry that it stomped its feet and cursed loudly. However, at this moment, Lin Xian waved his hand and swept his gaze across the surroundings. It's not impossible for me to make a move. Everyone was stunned after hearing this. Their gazes shifted toward Lin Xian. Brat, are you crazy? Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon screamed. Palace Master, you can't. Xing Tian, elderly, and the others also tried to persuade him. Lin Xian Gij, older brother Xian. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu's faces turned pale. Don't worry, I'm confident. Lin Xian turned his head and smiled at them before looking around. The others, on the other hand, were ecstatic. Many of them revealed ferocious expressions. Haha, this idiot brat is really arrogant. Does he really think that he can contend against the law fragment just because he killed a saint? Great, this time we'll definitely be able to kill him. Lin Xian spoke again. I can go forward and take the bronze key. But, however, what? An elder of the Nangong family asked. If the bronze box is opened, no matter what's inside, half of it must be given to the first immortal temple. What? We'll give you half. How is that possible? The others were going crazy. Their expressions instantly darkened as they shouted one by one. Brat, what a joke! You're too greedy. That's right, there's so many sacred grounds and sects here. How dare you ask for half of it? These people were very unhappy. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. Why? Does everyone disagree? Nonsense, of course they don't agree. The Yin saint snorted coldly. Those from the Tai dynasty and the Five Elements Palace also had cold expressions. How could they agree to such a condition? Since they didn't agree, the negotiation had failed. Lin Xian shrugged. So, you can go forward and take the key yourselves. Poof! F***CK. These people were so angry that they vomited blood. Their expressions became incomparably ugly. The corners of the others' mouths twitched. No wonder this brat was so arrogant, daring to ask for half of the treasure. It turned out that he was waiting for them here. Brother Lin, you're really Yi Wu Dao, and the others shook their heads. On the other side, the people from Immortal Temple also breathed a sigh of relief. So that was their temple master's idea. However, Shen Jingqiu and Morong Qingqing were still a little worried. What if these people agreed? This white-clothed woman was obviously a protector. She was definitely not simple. The others were also discussing spiritedly. Although they didn't want to give half of the treasure to Immortal Temple, they were even more unwilling to take the risk. That damn brat! How dare he ask for such an exorbitant price? He must have expected that we wouldn't dare to go forward. Those sacred grounds were all gnashing their teeth in anger. The Alcade Saintess also frowned. She didn't expect Lin Xian to have such an idea. Humph! She snorted coldly. These sacred grounds were too narrow-minded. So what if they gave him half of the treasure? Perhaps he would be killed before the bronze box was opened. Among them, there were some youths who thought that they were geniuses. They said, Elder, why don't you let me try? Nonsense. What kind of place is this? Even I don't dare to go up. Do you want to die? Did you forget that you became small? When these words were said, the young geniuses trembled, and fear appeared in their eyes. The bronze hand from before was like a nightmare, reminding them of it. These people quickly shook their heads and retreated. They might as well agree to this brat's request. After all, whether he could come back alive was another matter. Let's trick him first. I don't believe that he can fight against the law fragment alone. The elders of the sacred grounds quickly discussed. In the end, they decided to agree to this condition. Among them, the elder of the Yin sect stood out. Brat, as you wish. Half of the treasure in the bronze box will be given to Immortal Temple. We'll split the rest. Okay. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. He took a step forward and walked forward. Brother Xian, big brother Lin Xian. Behind him, Morong Qingqing and the others were extremely nervous. Don't worry, Qingqing, Qiu, or I'll be fine. Lin Xian waved at them. Whoosh! Balls of flames appeared on his ancient Taoist robe and enveloped him. Lin Xian walked towards the white-clothed woman. Although he looked relaxed on the surface, Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. The great dragon, sword soul in his body, roared and filled every part of his body. It would emit an extremely sharp sword light at any time. Moreover, he had already summoned the sage's hand bone. As long as the situation was not right, he would immediately enter the black earth and activate the sage's hand bone. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Finally, Lin Xian arrived in front of the white-clothed woman. He slowly stretched out his fingers, which were covered with sword patterns and filled with the power of the great dragon sword soul. Lin Xian grabbed the bronze key in front of him. Chapter 2571. Whoosh! Crack! Suddenly, there was a flash of light. Lin Xian felt his hands being grabbed by his opponent. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they cried out in alarm and retreated at lightning speed. She moved. She really moved. Damn it. I told you that she was a guardian. Haha, that kid is definitely dead. He was caught at such a close distance. There was no way he could escape. The people from the Yin-Yang sect, the Five Elements Palace, and the Tai dynasty laughed wildly. Temple Master, Brother Xian, Murong Qingchen, elderly, and the others' expressions changed drastically. Terrifying rays of light surged from their bodies as they were about to rush over to help. Don't come over. Retreat. I'm fine. Lin Xian's voice rang out. Murong Qingchen and the others stopped in midair. Brother Xian, are you really okay? I'm fine. Lin Xian shook his head. Although he was caught, the woman in white did not make any further moves. He believed that with his trump card he could break free. All right, let's go back. The Crimson Dragon waved its claws. Although Murong Qingchen and the others were unwilling, they still went back. They also retreated to a safe distance. On the other side, the people from the Tai dynasty laughed sinisterly. This kid is really arrogant. Does he really think he can fight against a guardian? It's better if he's arrogant. That way he'll be easier to kill. We can also get our revenge. The others' eyes flickered. They did not believe that Lin Xian could resist a guardian. Yi Wudao Wuhua and the others also frowned. They were also worried for Lin Xian. However, it seemed that Lin Xian was not in much danger. That was because the woman in white grabbed Lin Xian's hands tightly and did not make any further moves. To be honest, Lin Xian was also very nervous when the woman in white made her move. He almost summoned the sage's hand bone. However, he held back. He did not feel any killing intent from the woman in white. However, since he couldn't move his hands, he could only grab it with his sword chi. Sword chi gushed out from his body and turned into a huge palm. He grabbed forward, wanting to take the bronze key. However, in the next moment, the white-clothed woman opened her eyes. Wang! Lin Xian felt all the sword chi in his body being suppressed. The palm that shot out also disappeared in an instant. Damn it, what's going on? Cold sweat trickled down Lin Xian's forehead. His entire body's strength had been sealed in an instant. The people behind him also exclaimed in surprise. It opened. The woman in white opened her eyes. Heavens, she was indeed alive. These people were terrified. The others thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure. So terrifying. What kind of power was this? Was this the power of a saint? Lin Xian didn't know, but he felt that this power was too strong. When will I be able to possess such power? Lin Xian was envious. Soon he came back to his senses. He knew that now was not the time to think about that. He had to think of a way to take the bronze key and leave safely. That was the most important thing. Although the sword chi in his body was suppressed, Lin Xian realized that he could still move. After thinking for a while, Lin Xian had a strange expression on his face. In the end, he gritted his teeth and stretched his head forward slowly. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to kiss the woman in white. However, he bit the bronze key with his teeth. The people behind him were also stunned when they saw that. No way, is that kid possessed? How dare he take advantage of the woman in white? Isn't he afraid of being smashed into a bloody mist? Idiot kid. Sounds of discussion could be heard. Murong Qingqing and Shun Jingqiu were also dazed, but they soon realized what was going on. Older brother Xian is retrieving the bronze key. He's using his mouth to retrieve the bronze key? What a joke! No one believed it. The Alcade Holy Maiden also snorted softly. But soon, these people were stunned. That was because they realized that Lin Xianxian had returned again. They could not see clearly whether he had obtained the bronze key or not. However, the white-clothed woman slowly closed her eyes. He also retracted his hands. Whoosh! Lin Xian returned to the back. Did he get it? Damn it, that kid is safe and sound. How is that possible? Everyone was going crazy. The people from Immortal Palace, on the other hand, heaved a sigh of relief. That's great. Xin Jingqiu also clapped her hands and cheered. Buzz! Suddenly, the sky was torn apart, and a hazy figure appeared in the void. He raised his hand and threw a palm at Lin Xian. Oh no! The people from Immortal Palace changed their expressions. The people from the other sacred grounds were also surprised. They did not expect that someone would attack Lin Xian at this time. Who is it? Yin sect? Tai dynasty? Or the people from Five Elements Palace? No one knew, and they did not have time to investigate. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. Who would dare to attack me at this time? How reckless! Whoosh! He swam in the air like a divine dragon, swinging its tail, narrowly avoiding the palm. He snorted coldly and was about to counterattack. However, the person in the sky took out a purple gourd. Buzz! Countless rays of light bloomed. The purple gourd sprinkled down thousands of rays of light, enveloping Lin Xian. In an instant, Lin Xian was sucked into the gourd. Whoosh! 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 The hazy figure turned into a ray of light and flew into the distance. Damn it, he took the bronze key. Chase him! The people from the Dian sacred ground roared. Elder Li, Xing Tian, and the others went crazy. They soared into the sky. The others were also dumbfounded. What's going on? Is the other party's target the bronze key? Bang! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Everyone raised their heads and looked into the distance. The person who had escaped was sent flying. The purple gourd was torn into pieces. Lin Xian's sword light shot out from the gourd. Buzz! 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 13 rays of piercing sword light formed a row and slashed at the hazy figure. The figure used a divine ability to block the attack. However, he could not block it at all and was killed in the end. Whoosh! The light in the sky dimmed. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He wanted to see which sacred ground dared to attack him. Lin Xian was stunned. The others were also stunned. After the hazy figure was slashed apart, there was no blood and no corpse. Instead, it turned into endless spirit qi and disappeared into the void. It's not the real body. It's a clone. Lin Xian frowned. The others were also puzzled. The people from the Immortal Hall walked up and protected Lin Xian. At the same time, they looked behind them. They stared at the people from the Tai dynasty and the Yin sect. Damn it, who did it? The others also looked over. The people from the Tai dynasty and the Yin sect's faces darkened. Why are you looking at us? We didn't do it. Who else would attack our temple master other than you? Peacock Lung, Hui Dao, and the others looked gloomy. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.